calling this. Thank you very much. Welcome to our May 23rd, 2023 full board meeting of Manhattan Community Board 11. My name is Xavier Santiago. I'm the chair of CB11. This meeting is officially called to order at 6:35 p.m. Tonight, we are joined by our district manager, Angel Muscane, assistant district manager, Colleen Nixon, and community liaison, Marlene Pierre. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. 1, no one may speak until granted the floor. 2, CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. If you click the participants icon, the participants panel should appear and you should find the raise hand function there. If you still have technical difficulty, you may click the chat icon and relay your difficulty to the staff. Members should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. 3, the chat function should not be used for CB11 business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you are having or to state in writing information like an email address or telephone number that was already stated aloud on the record during the meeting. 4, when a member is given the floor to speak, I will identify you. You may unmute yourself so that you may speak. 5, please keep your questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion. 6, members of the public can register to speak in the public session by completing the pre-registration form and providing their name, affiliation, and what topic they wish to speak about. It's important we have this information to be in compliance with open meetings laws. A link to the registration form has been shared in the chat. Registration for the public session needs to be done by 7:15. We will now take attendance by roll call. Our secretary, Michelle Wiltshire Clement. The floor is yours.
Everyone, welcome to this meeting this evening, and I will be repeating what I did at the last meeting, where I will say each member's first and last name once, and then throughout the meeting, I will just be repeating the last name of each person. Thank you, and here we go. Also, I will be taking off my screen so that I have optimum Wi-Fi capability. Jose Altamirano. Altamirano. Stephanie Arroyo.
Here.
April Autry.
Present.
Mark Orderski.
Here.
Beautiful. Adem Briha.
Present.
Jahai Chaudhry. Karine Corsair. Karine Corsair.
Michelle, it's a little difficult to hear you.
Kenneth Crouch.
Michelle, did you call me? This is Kenneth Crouch.
Okay, is this better?
Yes.
Xavier, I feel
Yeah, it does appear we've lost. Could we pick up from Kenneth Crouch, Angel? Do you mind?
Hold on. Carlos Diaz. Rosa Diaz.
Present.
Donna Dell's excuse. Jessica Elliott.
present.
Judith Febraro.
Present.
Roger Flores is excused. Brandon Gillespie. David Giordano.
Present.
John Green.
Here.
Lee Hansen.
You
Wanda
need to mute
Hopkins.
yourself, Annie. Sorry.
Wanda Hopkins. Christina Johnson.
Present.
Jewel Jones.
Present.
Sharon Lynch. Beverly McFarland.
Present.
Marissa Mack.
She's excused.
Thank you. Giselle Malave.
Present.
Sage Mason.
Present.
Blake McCullough.
Here.
Jennifer Meyer.
Present.
Alicia Miranda,
Here.
Jessica Morris, Nina Salarama,
Present.
Rolly Pavon, Art Perez,
Present.
Claudia Perez,
Present.
Asha Rodriguez,
She'll be late.
Eugene Rodriguez,
Present.
Juan Sanders,
Present.
Xavier Santiago,
Present.
Isaac Scott, Russell Schuler,
Present.
Loretta So, Benny Torres, and Marie Vasquez,
Present.
Jason Villanueva, Andy Bibas Vasquez,
Present.
Michelle Wilcher Clement,
I'm present now. Go back off.
Jordan Wright, Jason Wu.
Jose Altamirano is present.
Yeah, I gotcha. Jason Wu's absent. You have quorum.
Thank you very much, Angel, and thank you, Michelle. We understand the technical difficulties that come up. We have a quorum. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted online. There will be one amendment to the agenda tonight. We are welcoming our borough president, Mark Levine, and I want to welcome all of our new members. And he wanted to come personally to each of the full board meetings happening tonight, is my understanding, and other events. So if there's no objection to adopting the agenda with that one slight change of having the borough president speak first before publicly registered speakers, the agenda will be adopted. If you wish to object, please raise your hand via Zoom. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. Before we get into our pre-registered speakers, I'm going to turn the floor over to our borough president, Mark Levine. Mark, are you still with us?
I sure am, and thank you, Chair Santiago. Hello, CB11. It's wonderful to see all of you. I do want to start on a somber note because I'm just so pained by the loss of Alpha Berry and Garrett Warren. These are the two young boys who went missing just outside of the confines of CB11. I know it's been weighing on you since their bodies were found in the East River and the Hudson River. The investigation is still underway, but the medical examiner has declared that at least one of the boys died of accidental drowning. And so while we learn the details of this horrible, horrible incident, I think it should cause us to reflect on what we're doing to teach young people to swim and our failure to give every child that life-saving skill. Let's think together about this, how we can go further through our public schools and other venues to give every single child in the city the ability to stay safe out on the water by teaching them to swim, so we have no more horrible incidents like that. Moving on to a much more positive topic, I'm just so excited that we're beginning a new session here on CB11 with a new crop of leaders, many returning leaders. I want to thank everyone who stepped up. We had almost 1,000 applicants this year to community boards across the borough. Just an extraordinary outpouring of people wanting to serve borough-wide and here in CB11. We're saying goodbye to some longtime members. Diane Collier, longtime leader here on CB11, has decided to step aside, and we're so grateful for her service. But I'm also really excited about all the new people who are stepping up. We have some amazing new CB11 members. I want to shout them out. Sage Mason, who's actually a former intern in my office, a star from our team, is going to contribute so much here on CB11. We have some incredible leaders in NYCHA. Beverly McFarland, course TA president from Taft, stepping up to lead. Christina Johnson, TA president at Lexington Houses. Loretta Sau from Jackie Robinson. Kareem Corser from Johnson Houses stepping up to lead. We have Alicia Miranda, a new board member, Sharon Lynch from Union Settlement, Mark Bogursky, also new member. What a great crop of new leaders. You're going to enjoy getting to know them. Welcome, welcome to all of you. Really thrilled to work with you in the months and years ahead. I want to thank CB11 for passing a resolution in favor of our initiative to plant 1 million more trees in New York City. You know, this is about climate change. It's about cooling a block on a hot day. It's about absorbing storm runoff when there's heavy rain. And this is also about equity, because there are far fewer trees in low-income communities of color in New York City. And East Harlem is one of those neighborhoods which needs more trees for the sake of equity. And so with this initiative, I expect we'll be able to close that gap. And in fact, we're doing our part. About 3 weeks ago on April 30th, my office was able to partner with New York Restoration Project and Urban Garden Center right from East Harlem. We gave out 200 free trees that people are planting all over the neighborhood. So we're making East Harlem the epicenter of our effort to get more trees planted for all the good that they do. We have a great event coming up tomorrow. Again, I think it's just outside of CB11. It's an info session on how to apply to the HPD housing lottery for people who want to get their name in for an affordable apartment uptown and beyond. It's going to be held at the Joseph Kennedy Community Center at 34 West 134th Street tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. Presentation from HPD and others. Catholic Charities will be there. So come on out if you can. I think it's going to be a very important and informative session. So I'm going to pause there because you allowed me to speak earlier in the session. I really just wanted to say hello to the new members. Thanks, everyone. Looking forward to great work ahead with all of you. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Borough President. I'll entertain a few questions real quick and then get the agenda going. I see one hand. Eugene Rodriguez, you're recognized. Your question.
Thank you, Chairman Santiago. You know what I'm going to ask? I would personally like to ask Mark Levine to sponsor a roundtable discussion on creating a theater district in East Harlem. Good news for us for once.
Well, you know I support you on that, Eugene. You've been amazing on that, and would love to get a roundtable together on that.
Hopefully this summer, please.
You got it.
Great. Eugene, you and I got your email and I'll give you a call later this week. So thank you very much for advocating. Michelle, your question, and then we'll move along.
Hi, yes, thank you. I appreciate you welcoming every person that has joined us. I would also like to find out, will the city housing lottery meeting be hybrid so that the people that aren't able to come to it during the daytime will have that information?
I am not sure about that, and I will find out. It's an absolutely great point, Michelle. And if there's a way for it to be viewed afterwards as well on video, we'll share that. But at any rate, I also want you and folks here to know that my office is ready to help individual residents who want to apply. We have an uptown office on 125th Street it's on the west side between Amsterdam and Morningside. It's at 431 West 125th. And we can give individualized assistance to folks who want help applying to the lottery. I know that wasn't your question, Michelle, but I want to make sure people know we're ready to help any way we can.
Okay, thank you. And for the
Got it.
added information.
You got it.
Thank you. Thank you, Borough President. We appreciate you taking the time to visit all of us and make space for that. And we'll look forward to seeing you in the neighborhood. Thank you for your advocacy.
Thanks, Mr. Chair.
And good luck with the rest of your evening.
Thank you, sir. Be well.
Be well. Okay, we're going to move back into our regularly scheduled programming. Our pre-registered speakers, please check your chat. There is a registration form that you click that link and it will populate on our screen so we actually can keep record of all the publicly registered speakers. Few ground rules for those wishing to speak. One, you must sign up to give the testimony, providing your name and affiliation. A link is in the chat, as I referenced earlier. This will help us comply with open meetings law. Two, you will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. Please state your phone and email up front. 2 minutes to speak, and then we'll reserve a minute for questions. A timer will be up as an aid. 3, you should address your testimony to the board, not the public. 4, you should speak clearly and into the microphone. 5, you should be prepared to respond to board members who may ask questions in order to clarify facts and opinions presented in your comments. 6, if required, the chair will remind you of the time or concluding the remarks. A note for our board members, you should only ask clarifying questions. Commentary will not be entertained. If needed, a reminder will be prompted to board members to posit the question. And we have our first, and Angel, if you just keep tabs with me, please. I think our first is Katie Swab from City Parks Foundation. Katie, are you still with us?
I'm here.
Great. You have your 3 minutes and the timer should be on screen for you.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for having me here. My name is Katie Swab. I'm Government Relations and Special Projects Manager at City Parks Foundation. My email address is kswab@cityparksfoundation.org and my phone number is 917-634-6460 and I can drop that into the chat as well. So thank you for letting me join you this evening. I wanted to just inform everyone of a couple of upcoming events in Marcus Garvey in August this year. So you may be familiar with Summer Stage that CPF has been running for the past 20 years, I believe. We will be returning to Marcus Garvey Park from August 17th to 20th for 4 free shows, including Hip Hop 50, hosted by Ralph McDaniels. Works in Process will be presenting The Missing Element, Jason Moran, and Big Bandwagon in association with Jazzmobile will also be performing, and we will be screening a new documentary film called Mixtape. The following week, we are very excited to host the Charlie Parker Jazz Festival, which will include 2 free shows also at the park. That will be on August 25th and 26th, and I'm happy to drop our website with a full lineup into the chat as well. We are also working on individual flyers for those shows if you could help us to promote them. But I also just wanted to make sure that you knew who I was, that if you have any issues, if there's anything that CPF can do to answer any questions regarding Summer Stage or any of our other programming. We run a lot of free sports, arts, and education programs, as well as service projects and conservation projects in city parks. Always happy to collaborate, really happy to hear about all the tree plantings that you have planned. So I will drop my information into the chat, but thank you so much for having me.
Great. Any questions for Katie Swab? Okay. Not seeing any hands raised. I'm sure our Environment, Open Space and Parks. We do have one hand, but I would welcome you to get in contact with Jessica Elliott as well. Beverly Pavone, your question.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Katie, for the presentation. 2 questions in regards to the shortage that they have for the pools, for the lifeguards. Do you see any future of our park at Marcus Garvey to have shorted hours or a lot of services that won't be able to be done this year? And 2, is the Pelham Parkway, Pelham Fritz Theater open for business now? Because I drove past there a couple of times and I always see it closed.
Katie.
Hey, Beverly. So I'm with City Parks Foundation, which is a nonprofit that works closely with the Parks Department, but we are not the Parks Department. But I am happy to, I will drop my email in, and if you want to reach out to me, I can connect you to the right person to answer those questions. It's something that we have been advocating for, especially with the lifeguards.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Thank you for being with us. Our next speaker is Stephanie Echevarria with Breaking Grounds Housing Services for the Homeless. Stephanie, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. And the floor is yours. You have 3 minutes. Please state your information up front and then you speak for 2 and we'll have time for some questions. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Hi, good evening. My name is Stephanie Echevarria. I work for Breaking Ground, which is a homeless outreach organization which connects chronically homeless clients to permanent supportive housing. So I wanted to thank you all for welcoming me today. In this moment, my work number is 646-385-1280, and my email is sechevaria@breakingground.org. So I'm here today basically to just briefly inform you guys about our program. We help connect chronically homeless clients which have been on the street 9 months or more to connect to permanent supportive housing. In that process, what we do is we make sure that we get clients on caseload and first help them connect to transitional housing. Once we help them complete their housing packet, then we start working towards connecting them to permanent housing. Permanent supportive housing. In this moment, what we do is that we start seeking out permanent supportive housing vacancies within Brooklyn, Queens, and Midtown Manhattan. Just wanted to basically ask today if there are any brokers, renters, or landlord who are interested at this moment to fill in any vacancies. Please feel free to contact me, and also I will make sure to submit my information for you guys as well. And feel free to call me or email me to ask further questions. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, Stephanie. Well delivered. Any questions from our board members? Rosa Diaz, your question.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to know if there's any requirement in legal status. Can asylum seekers also call you and, like, because I have a lot of asylum seeker families that have been here for almost a year without an apartment, a shelter, going from one place to another.
Okay, so and which I should mention, so basically once the client their housing packet is approved, they receive a City Flex voucher. So it has to be basically landlord, brokers, and renters who accept this particular voucher. But unfortunately, at this moment, we only focus on single adults that have been chronically homeless for 9 months or more. So we don't directly work with families, but if anything, I could definitely refer you to other organizations. We don't directly work with them, but I do know that they do focus mainly on families that are experiencing homelessness.
Okay, that's a good question, Stephanie. And I'm going to Stephanie Rosa, and thank you for the answer, Stephanie. I'm going to move along to the next question. I would recommend, Stephanie, you come to our housing committee at some point and present as well. That would be brilliant. Last question, Annie Hansen. Annie, your question.
Yes. How do you find those homeless to be helped, and how you select them to give them a permanent housing?
So what we do is we do have homeless outreach programs located within Brooklyn, Queens, and Midtown Manhattan. There we do homeless outreach where we go to the streets within the district that we are in charge of to offer our services. And based off the information that the client gives us, we also run their information on the system called CARES and Street Smart. There it lets us know whether or not the client is connected to any organization. And if the client is not connected, then we can move forward with being legally in charge of the client's caseload. And from there, move on with completing their housing packet, their housing process.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Question. Thank you for the question, Annie. It was a very good question. Last one, Beverly, and I'm going to move us along. Beverly, your question?
Yes, thank you. My question is, when people are having drug issues and they're going in and out of programs, because they usually keep them for 30 days or something like that. When that happens and they're back on the streets, do you consider the time that they've been in that program for 30 days as them being homed, or would they still be considered homeless and be able to use your services?
You're muted.
So sorry. So I want to make sure I understand the question. So you're saying if they enter our program but return back to the streets, would they still be eligible to use our services?
No, not particularly your services. Like say, I know some people, I've experienced some people in my community who go into a drug program and they're usually there for like 30 days or something like that. Do you count that as being, they being home for that 30 days? Because
Yes.
You said they have to be in the, at least nine months continuously in the streets in order to apply for your program.
So as long as they're not residing at the program, because sometimes I believe like some clients could either live there. As long as they're not residing at the program and they're not connected directly to a shelter, then yes, they're eligible to apply for our program. And also, as long as they meet the 9 months or more criteria, they're eligible as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's a good question, Deb. I think this would be great to break into at housing. So please reach out to John Green and Marlene Pierre to arrange a presentation. Thank you
so much.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on, we have Taisha Smalls from We Act for Environmental Justice. Taisha, are you here?
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
Yep, you've got your 3 minutes.
Okay.
Floor is yours.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Taisha Smalls. I'm the community organizer at We Act. My email address is Taisha, TYISHA @weact.org. My telephone number is 646-983-7073. So I'm here today because we have our monthly membership meeting. Is coming up June 10th from 10 to 12 at the Most Wonderful Prince Hall Lodge, which is located 454 West 155th Street between St. Nicholas and Amsterdam. We're going to be having our second climate justice working group meeting that will be talking about the Climate Ready Uptown Now plan, which is known as CRUP. We thank Community Board 11 for participating in the first event. We'll also be talking about ranked choice voting and the city council races. Lastly, we have our first civic engagement working group, which is going to be in Spanish. And our first meeting is actually going to be held on Thursday, May 30th from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. These meetings is going to be held every second Thursday of the month. These are not currently going to be virtual, and we're going to be talking about composting in this first meeting, more about what is composting and how you can compost. If you want to get involved with that working group, you can speak to our bilingual organizer, Mara Lady Prinmill. It's MARILEIDY.Prinmill, PRIMIENTAIL @weact.org. And you can sign up for these events at our website. It's weact.org/events. It's weact.org/events. Thank you. And I'll put everything in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Taisha. Any questions? Okay. Beautiful. And thank you for hosting our Uptown Chair Roundtable with the Borough President. We really enjoyed that and found it edifying. So appreciate you. We'll look forward to seeing you next month. With that, we're going to move along. It looks like Katie Swab signed up twice. So we're going to move on to Jessica Morris, a neighbor from near Washington Houses. Jessica, you have your 3.
Thank you, Xavier. You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, wonderful. So my name is Jessica Morris. I am a member of Community Board 11, but here tonight just as a neighbor, wanted to acknowledge nothing more than that, but acknowledge my Washington Houses neighbors across the street who have been without water now for over 24 going on approaching 36 hours, filling up at taps attached to the hydrants in 3 locations, 3,500 or so residents. In addition, a number of Washington Houses residents do not have gas and have not had gas for months. I know there are other board members who can perhaps speak better to exactly what's going on, but I did want to just make board members aware that this is happening in our neighborhood and is not only an inconvenience, but a very real public health threat and condition. So that's all I've got.
Thank you very much.
But just wanted to raise the issue. Thank you, Xavier.
Thank you. And I know we have Claudia Perez, who is the TA president of Washington Houses, so I'm sure she will edify us. Any questions for Jessica Morris? Please raise your hands. Sage, you're recognized. Your question.
Is Claudia Perez on? Could she give us some more information about this?
Claudia?
Not to put her on the spot. But
Hi, everyone. We are going, we have 3 buildings, that's 315 apartments without gas.
Oh, you're muted, Claudia. You're muted.
Excuse me. Now with is, we had no water at all day yesterday. Our boiler room was under 8 feet of water. It took them from 9 o'clock in the morning till about 9 p.m. last night just to get it out. Right now, the service, we got clear. So the service again was for the mobile boiler to be hooked up. And I'm actually outside right now with residents giving out water. So if anybody wants to help, I would just say that, we do need donations of water as well as for the gas outages. We all know that's going to take about 4 to 6 months because they also found asbestos in some of the pipes because all the gas pipes needs to be changed buildings versus one. So I would just say that for those, we're just trying to locate meals, and I've been reaching out to local restaurants because they do throw away their food at the end of the day, but I don't expect like an everyday delivery, but some assistance would be thank
you, Claudia, for answering, giving us more detail. I'm going to reach out to you after the board meeting and find out if you've been in touch with Brian Honan and a few others. So thank you, Jessica. Appreciate that. We will now move on to our last publicly registered speaker, and that will be Nicholas Reyes from the Democratic State Party. Nick, are you with us?
Hey guys, what's going on? I was having a hard time finding the mute button. So my name is Nicholas Reyes, guys. I'm the elected state committee man for this district. I just wanted to give you an update about what's going on in the state committee. We just finished having our spring business meeting. So
you're muted. You're muted, Nick.
excuse me, guys. I'm sorry. I'm on my phone. Excuse me. So
That's
yeah.
all right.
So I was on my phone. Excuse me. So I want to talk about 3 resolutions that we got passed this last meeting. It was on May 11th. The first one I want to talk about is basically is a bill urging the governor and the New York State Assembly and the New York Senate to act expeditiously to provide more rental housing and tenant protection that will bring relief and comfort to New Yorkers in need. Because as you know, now more than ever, is 50% of New Yorkers reporting that they are not able to spend money on their basic needs right now. So that was big. That was big to me, and I was very happy to get that passed. We all got that passed. It wasn't only me. The next resolution is we resolve the mental health and substance abuse and as a crisis level in New York State and the rest of the country. And it's incumbent upon us that the society to treat those who suffer mental health issues and substance abuse with care and concern and resources not dissimilar to any other physical ailment or disease. Basically, this was actually a bill passed by my Tamika Mapp, who is the female, the woman district leader. Not district leader, state committee woman. And she actually had a whole bill proposed, but they kind of stripped it down because what we found out was we can't be too specific about what we want. And I want to say that Tamika had a great bill. And if you want to know what it was about, you can shoot her email and all that. And the next one is basically a bill about including LGBTQA+ curriculum in schools, because at this time in this country, LGBTQ peoples have been under attack in certain states, and we as New Yorkers are trying to show that we are not against them and we're with them. So we passed a resolution urging this New York State Assembly, the Senate, and the governor to pass LGBTQIA+ inclusive curriculum. Again, I know I started really fast, so My name is Nicholas Reyes. You could contact me at 646-538-9792. And my email is nicholasreyesstatecommittee@gmail.com. If you have any questions, guys, please feel free to shoot me any of them. Okay, thank you.
Eugene, your question?
Thank you, Chairman. You know what I'm gonna ask.
What's going on, Eugene? How are you?
It's nice to meet you. We haven't spoken before, but I'd like to make you aware that we've been trying to get East Harlem designated as a cultural zone. So that we can then talk about creating a theater district in the community. So I'd like your support for that, and I hope you can get the conference to support it also.
I would love to. We'll speak about it, moving forward. But that's something that I just found out, that we have a whole bunch of theaters in our neighborhood that are going unused. So we're basically a cultural district without the actual, things going on in it. So I would definitely speak to you if you want to shoot me an email or call me. I would definitely speak to you about that, Eugene. For real.
Thank you.
No problem.
Beverly Pabon, your question?
Yes, thank you for the presentation, Nicholas. Question in regards to the resolutions that you just spoke about, do they have any numbers so I can look into them more? So I just got some notes down here, but if you have any numbers to it, that would be great. And the other thing is, what type of work are you doing for home ownership for people below 80% of the AMI?
Well, there's a lot of work to be done on that. I was speaking with some people about that recently. At this moment, me and Tamika are trying to introduce at the next business meeting, because we have it. It's semi-annual, so it's twice a year, and basically we're going to try to produce a resolution covering just that. But if you want to talk to me more about that, and also if you want those numbers, please shoot me an email. I'll send you the copy of each bill, personally. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much.
Beverly.
All right, we need to hurry things along. So we're going to go to Michelle and then Judith, and then we'll close out the publicly registered speakers. Thank you. Michelle, your question.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. You were very quick, and I wanted to find out more information about the LGBTQIA plus bill, and are there any others on the floor to combat what is happening around our nation?
At this time, there's nothing that's coming across the committee with anything new about that, so that's a problem. But I can definitely, in interest of time, I can definitely send you the bill, and we could also talk about it off this, okay? Because it's a long bill. That's actually the longest resolution that we had on the docket, and it was very successful. And I feel like a lot of people, more than the other ones that I talked about, supported this. So if you want the actual information, the language of the bill, shoot me an email and I'll send it to you. No problem.
Thank you. Thank you, Judith. Your question, and we'll close things out.
As we know, about 21 years ago, co-ops and condos were built under the tax abatement. They are now expiring. Well, basically expired. 421A is expired. I too have been working with Tamika, and what happens, we're trying to deal with the people in Albany, the people in the city, HPD, HDC, and many people bought these apartments through the lottery system, and we were talking about those who aged in place. Do you have any information as to what will happen, especially to seniors, on that particular subject?
So that bill unfortunately got tabled by our chair, Jay Jacobs. And me and Tamika already are pretty upset about that, meaning that it's going to come up again. I think that there has to be the executive committee pointed out there has to be some language changes on the resolution. So
what about Kavanaugh, Brian Kavanaugh?
What about him?
Well, he's the chair of housing up in Albany.
Well, I'm not in contact with Brian Kavanaugh. I was in contact with the committee. Well, I was in contact with Tamika, and when I got to the business meeting, because everything hits the agenda, and on the agenda, when we got to the actual space to vote on it, we found out that it was tabled, and it was cited because the language was too specific. And that's the thing that we're trying to. That's the thing that we're trying to do as a state committee. We're trying to get past, this red tape that they have, or yellow tape that they have, and they make it very hard because you have to be very broad in the language, which is not good, because we're trying to be very specific, like what you're talking about. Tamika, as you know, Tamika was very heavy on, you know, pushing that forward, and unfortunately it got tabled to the next session. So we're gonna, I'm assuming Tamika's gonna try to make some changes to the language and try to get that passed next time around.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would recommend you coming to our housing committee with that particular legislative proposal and presenting it at
Okay.
either June or September. So, and for the other items, I would recommend going to those committees as well. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Nick. And with that, we will conclude our publicly registered speakers. We're going to now move the meeting along and to hearing from our local elected officials or their representatives. If you've not already signed up to speak, we ask that the elected officials or their representatives please alert our staff in the chat, and they will give you the link again. We ask that any event service literature be sent to our office so we may post it and share it as is appropriate. Please keep your report to 3 minutes, following the similar guidelines of 2 minutes to present and 1 minute for questions, and to be mindful not to repeat what others have already mentioned. If required, the chair will remind you of the time or concluding the remarks. As a reminder, to everyone in the attendees, I will not be pulling from the list. It's very hard to focus on that, so please register so we can actually see that you're registered to speak. Thank you. Sorry, just a lot of people messaging. Okay, who do we have first up, Angel? We have Senator Cordell Clare. Office is here. Damaris Vasquez.
Afternoon.
Afternoon. The floor is yours.
I believe the senator is also on the call.
Wonderful.
Hello.
Okay. Hi, Senator.
Okay, I
have you.
had a little trouble navigating. Thank you, Damaris. Thank you so much for this opportunity. You know, I'm still up here in Albany. Session is not over yet, but I wanted to just come because this is the first time I think there's been a general meeting since the budget passed. And I just wanted to report on just a few things with this budget, like many other budgets. And it was not everything that I wanted, but there were some very important things in the budget that I think I'm very happy we were able to bring to New York City. One of them being I'm proud to be part of the administration, who was the administration that finally paid the campaign fiscal equity, the foundation aid that was owed to our New York City students. We gave an historic record $34 billion to New York City. This is money that was owed to our public schools, and though the lawsuit had been won for the long fought fight with Senator Robert Jackson, my colleague, before he was even Senator Jackson, and many others, including myself, fought for this to happen, but our previous administrations never paid the money. So this year were able to pay that to our New York City schools. You know, the foundation aid is a 4-part formula that takes into account the cost of educating a student, different levels of student needs, different costs of living across the state, and the varying funding capacities of different districts. So we're very proud and happy that we were able to do that. We also fought to, as we try to strengthen our traditional public school system, there was an effort to resuscitate what they are calling zombie charters. These are schools that had been closed due to them not meeting standards. There was a movement to resuscitate these schools. We were fighting, particularly in New York, because there were 22 total, and they were trying to put them all in New York City. Now, 22 schools did not close in New York City. Some of them closed outside of New York City, where they're not nearly near the cap. So we didn't think that we should have to take those. There were only 14 that closed in New York, and that's what we wound up taking, was those 14. Taking into account the fact that New York City is the only municipality in New York State that has the obligation of paying rent for charters if they are not located in public schools. I advocated that New York City not have that burden of doing that. We need every dollar. We just fought for all this money for our traditional public schools, and we don't need to pay rent for schools outside. The governor decided that she would pay for that. That's bittersweet to me, because that those are billions of dollars that I think could be used for other things that we do need in our state and in our city. But I am happy that the burden is off New York City in regards to that New York City does not have to pay that money. We also did a lot in healthcare. We strengthened our distressed hospitals, our distressed providers, including hospitals like Harlem Hospitals and others. We allocated $500 million in additional aid for those providers, and we casted a lifeline to our safety net hospitals that were there for us during the pandemic and are there for us all the time. And especially in our underserved communities. We also reserved $35 billion to support, $35 million to support our 340B funded entities like Harlem United, and there are some other services that are funded that way that are important to our community to make sure that our community continues to get those services. We did revitalization to Medicaid. The 23-24 budget includes a $1 billion in healthcare capital funding and expanded Medicaid coverage for more than 7.8 million low-income New Yorkers, including a significant rate increase of 7.5%. It was not all that I wanted. I wanted more than that, but we got 7.5% for inpatient hospital services and 6.5% for outpatient hospital services, including nursing homes and other providers. This was very important. Our nursing homes and others have not seen a Medicaid reimbursement rate increase for a decade, almost a decade. And, you know, the cost of living has gone up. The cost of doing everything has gone up. And in order for us to get the staff that we need, in order for us to take care of our patients properly, we needed an increase. We fought. This is the first increase of that size that they have received since then. We're going to continue fighting. I will be back here next year fighting to get the amount that we need. We're raising the minimum wage. Am I done? And
we were at 5 minutes, but yeah, if you can, just to keep, thank you, because I want to allow time. I really appreciate being here. I want to allow space for questions. So if you can.
Okay, and you listen, we got secured $391 for ERAP for public housing, which was a group that didn't get money in the first round. So we were happy to secure that funding. And my district probably has the most public housing in Manhattan. So I'm very happy that we were able to provide that money for our patients. Something I'm not going to go through everything here, and we're going to have a more extensive report later on that the community will be invited to listen to. But I'm really proud to say that we honored Bob McCullough from Each One Teach One with a Senate resolution that I'm really proud of for all the work that he's done in New York City. But I know that he was a longtime member of Board 11, and we were so proud to be able to bring him up here and have him honored in the New York State Senate. I believe we should always give people their flowers. And in addition to that, I was able to honor Miss Willie Mae Goodman with a distinguished woman. She was my distinguished woman candidate of the year. And she came up here and she got a real hero's welcome from everyone, standing ovation by all of my colleagues. And she was honored and had a great time, participated in the ceremony in the Senate chamber. So I was very proud. This house is for you, and I want you to be here, and I want you to be included in what we do up here. Thank you so much. And thank you, Board 11, for your work.
Thank you, Senator Claire. And yeah, we adore Bob McCullough and Willie Mae Goodman very much, very dear and close to me personally. So I got time for a couple questions. Jewel Jones, your question to the senator.
Thank you, Senator. You mentioned the safety net hospitals. You mentioned Harlem Hospital. Just want to make sure we were discussing Metropolitan Hospital as well in terms of these monies that are coming in. Okay, great. Thank you.
That is one of the hospitals. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the clarifying question, Jewel. And Christina Johnson, your question.
Yes, thank you so much for allowing me this time. Senator, you said as a teacher, I was a little concerned by this $34 billion awarded to New York City schools. And I was kind of wondering how is the money going to be allocated? And two, is the money going to be given out to schools so that they have upgrades. Teacher salaries, teachers are up for contracts this year, smaller class sizes. And now that we have all of these immigrants coming into the city, they are also going to be joining us in our schools. How is this money going to be allocated to all these different things that are needed in the New York Public City Schools?
Thank you. That's a great question. And, you know, this is where you have to follow the money. I can fight up here on the state level to get what we deserve. Now we have to make sure that our city and local elected officials are allocating this money where it needs to go. You know, we fought for this formula to make sure that we got our fair share, we got the right amount. And it's up to all of us to make sure that we're advocating for the things that we need in our schools. You know, it goes to the city level. We have to talk to our local council members, our local and our mayor. Definitely is a conversation that we do have to look at how that money is distributed. But it is intended to get all the things that our children did not have, you know, that we needed, that should result in smaller class size, that should result in counseling and social workers and other things that our students need in New York City. But that is something that will be decided on a local level, and we make sure that we did what we, you know, I did my part up here that we're supposed to do. And I will continue to advocate with you at any level of that too.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you very much on behalf of New York City Schools.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Senator Claire. Eugene, real quick, last question.
Thank you, Chairman Santiago. I just would ask that Assemblywoman Claire work with
Senator.
I'm sorry, please forgive me. I'm new to this, but I'd like to ask you to help Gibbs designate East Harlem as a cultural district and work with the borough president to declare the neighborhood a theater district.
Yes, I'm the co-sponsor. Like, you have to have a sponsor in the Senate and in the Assembly. I'm the Senate sponsor on that bill. I'm very supportive of that. In fact, today, another bill of mine came out of the Arts Committee, out of the Art and Culture Committee, which I also sit on, and Senator Serrano chairs. And I had another bill come out today to make sure that we're giving money to groups that are diversified, groups that are racially inclusive, ethnically inclusive. So we're trying to make sure that we're hitting it from every angle. Thank you for that, and I'm happy to support that.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
I hope you can sponsor that with Gibbs.
Yes, I'm the sponsor on the other end, on the other house.
Are you designated in East Harlem though as a cultural district?
Yes, that one.
Just want to make sure.
Sounds like a resounding yes. Thank you. Thank you very much, Senator Claire. You're always welcome here. We encourage all of our electeds to show up. Thank you. We wish you a blessed evening, and we're going to move the meeting along now. Ricardo Aguirre from AM Dickens, you are up. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening. Let me just get, okay. Let me show you my face. Excuse me. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ricardo Aguirre. I am counsel and legislative director for Assemblymember Dickens. And I'm here to report on some legislation and some resolutions and some projects that our office is trying to work with members of the community. First and foremost, we have this couple of bills that we're waiting to come out of committee before session ends. One in particular is to work on the issue of limiting the amount of drug and alcohol abuse facilities that treat people that come from outside of our community into our community, and in many instances loiter throughout the area after they've received their medication, or have to stay there until 5 o'clock till a bus picks them up. There are 2 other bills that are worded differently, but have the same aim. So right now, that particular committee is trying to see how they could amend all 3 together so they end up saying the same thing. Another bill that's going in front of the committee is our veterans bill. Many New York veterans, people don't know about, were discharged dishonorably from the military because of their sexual orientation, dating back way before the Vietnam War. And even after Don't Tell came out under President Clinton, 1,000 plus veterans were discharged because of the sexual orientation. It's very expensive to try and change your discharge status. These individuals, some of them who actually bled on the battlefield, do not have the benefits of a veteran. They can't go to a veterans hospital. They can't get a VA loan if they wanted to, and several other issues that members of the military that were honorably discharged, administratively discharged, have the advantage of taking. These individuals don't. So we're looking forward to gaining support, and then hopefully that will pass before session is out. Another bill has to deal with the Conviction Integrity Unit. This particular bill allows district attorneys throughout the state to, on their own, take a look at a case that's brought to their attention that may be a wrongful conviction. Many of you may know that the process for a person that's been convicted who believes they were wrongfully convicted is very expensive and time-consuming. And its process takes many, many years in many instances, and a lot of times they're just dismissed from the court. However, if we have these conviction integrity units, which are present right now in several states throughout the United States and been very successful, it'll save that particular inmate of convicted individual money. It also will save time in the courts, and it also gives the district attorney that opportunity and that power to be able to say, wait a minute, something's wrong here. It was maybe not enough evidence, some evidence was left out, or certain witnesses were in interview, whatever it may be, to be able to overturn the conviction.
Thank you. Thank you. That's
Okay.
3 minutes.
And
And one last thing. Yeah, that was 3 minutes. Do you have
okay, that's it.
item to
I'm
mention?
good to go.
Okay, thank you. We look forward to having Assemblywoman Dickens to come back. She had attended last year, several of them. We appreciated her presence. Any questions from our board members? Okay. Seeing no hands raised. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Can you just state your contact information for us, please?
Sure. It's exactly the same as Senator Cordell Clear. And the only difference is that our room is 911, not hard to forget. So it's the same exact building, but I'll type it in anyway in the chat, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, last but not least is Maggie McDermott from Deputy Speaker Diana Ayala. You have your 3.
Thank you so much for your introduction, Chair Santiago. I appreciate it.
We adore
Good
you.
evening, everybody. This is Maggie McDermott. I'm here to represent the office of the New York City Council's Deputy Speaker, Diana Ayala. As everybody knows, she and her fellow colleagues are working tirelessly on the general budget, executive budget rather. She recently convened a general welfare budget hearing to hear from city agencies in regard to the fiscal year 2024 budget cycle. The Deputy Speaker and committee members asked the Administration for Children's Services, the Human Resources Administration, and the Department of Homeless Services a number of questions related to the agency's recent budget proposals. Some recent City Council legislative updates are as follows. Deputy Speaker Ayala and her fellow members are tirelessly, as I said, working on the executive budget, which is going to drop at the end of June. The council successfully approved a new article tax exemption for Taino Towers, ensuring the preservation of affordable housing within our community, which includes an equitable long-term affordability plan. That's like major, major news. Also introduced was 1031-2023, a local law to amend the New York City Charter in relation to a fair housing plan and to repeal local law number 133 for the year 2018 in relation to the affordable housing plan. Deputy Speaker Ayala recently hosted several East Harlem street co-naming unveiling ceremonies to commemorate the lives of several local legends. She has more forthcoming. Thus far, she has celebrated Eva de la O, Matthew Rivera, and Hector Macho Camacho. Forthcoming are Carmen Mastani Ward and Edwin Marcial. And that's
Wonderful.
it.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I was really
Thank
glad to join you this past weekend and with the rest of the staff and this Deputy Speaker. Any questions for?
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Be well, Maggie. Thank you.
You too.
Okay. We're going to move the agenda along. That concludes our elected officials and or their representatives. We now are going to move into the business session for those members of the public. This is for the board members to discuss business items. We will take a brief pause. I'm going to pass the floor over to Michelle Wiltshire. Yes, Senator Claire.
I'm so sorry, and I'm sure, I don't know if this was mentioned, but I do want to just recognize and lift up former Senator and Councilman Bill Perkins, who passed this week. Many of you know I worked with him for a very long time, almost 2 decades. And it would be just remiss for me not to mention that he is very much a part of who I am today and all the great work that he did for this community. His viewing will be tomorrow at First Corinthian Baptist Church on West 116th Street and Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. And his funeral services will be on the following day, which is Thursday, well, there'll be another viewing from 9 to 10 and the funeral will begin at 10 o'clock. So I just wanted to lift him up. I did a lot of work in East Harlem, and I think also served on Board 11 at one time. And he will be truly missed. He was a giant in our community.
Thank you, Senator Claire. Yes, I've mentioned, the affinity I built working with him very early on in my service, and I was very pleased to attend with Chaplain Robert to have the vigil and remembrance last week. So I appreciate you raising that. Thank you. Nicholas, I'm about to move in the business session. Do you have a quick question?
I just want to say rest in peace to Bill Perkins, and I will also be there. And I just want to say he was a great, inspiration to us all. I forgot to talk about him in my 3 minutes, so I just wanted to put that out there too.
Thank you very much for sharing that. I appreciate that, Nicholas. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to move us into our business session. This is for board members to discuss action items and reports. Members of the public, we again refer you back if there are concerns or questions to the committee level, where you will have space and opportunity to opine on action items or businesses representing the community. So first off, we have our minutes from the last full board meeting were partially completed. I'm going to pass it over to Michelle Wiltshire Clement if she would like to speak on this.
Hi, everyone. The minutes will be in there either today or tomorrow. They will be posted. They are not complete as yet. I would like to make them as complete as possible. And I would like to continue with the roll call after that.
Oh, we completed the roll call already at the beginning. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so now we're not adopting the minutes. We will adopt them next month. We'll go into the chair's report. Before we do, I would just, if you would, I'd like to have a moment of silence for the 2 young sons of Harlem, Garrett Warren and Alpha Barry. Just a few moments of silence to. Okay. Thank you very much. Being a parent, one doesn't even need to be a parent when we lose children so young. So I just wanted to acknowledge that as we let the investigation ensue and keep everyone in our thoughts and prayers and their parents, the extended family. Switching gears, I would like to first welcome our new board members. I am very excited to welcome 9 new members. Our borough president welcomed them earlier: Mark Bogowski, Kareem Koser, Annie Hansen, Christina Johnson, Sharon Lynch, Beverly McFarland, Sage Mason, Alicia Miranda, and Loretta So. Very excited after speaking to the BP's office about your backgrounds. Look forward to meeting with you in person and really take in everything you can do during the BP's onboarding process. We're going to have a separate one with our staff, and we also do for our new members. We give them a real world impact of what the work that we do, the advocacy we do from short, medium, and long term. And we're going to be scheduling that. So please keep your eyes open for an email. I can't believe Memorial Day is right upon us. It's, this year is just flying by. I encourage all the new members to attend the meetings that are virtual, determine where your interests lie. It's easier to activate when you're passionate about the work you do. So also, please keep your eyes out to our calendar. We have family days, block parties. Our Open Streets program starts next week. So a week from this Saturday, we're doing a cleanup on 101st, where we get everything prepped for our Open Streets program at 101st and 100th Street and end up over in La Marqueta and La Placita. Please join our team if you can do next Saturday. A lot of this is for information purposes only. I'm going to highlight a handful of the items here for us. I attended Washington Houses. It is stone's throw from me dealing with their public safety concerns. We're seeing, especially since they have such a large AAPI senior population there. I want to say thank you to Claudia Perez for inviting me and allowing me space to speak. I am going to implore our public safety and transportation housing committees to work together towards this tentative plan of action, because I'm seeing a parallel from what they're experiencing at Wagner's Houses, which I attended on May 1st. Again, some of these items that were called out by Maggie McDermott attending with the street co-naming of Matthew Rivera, Eva de la O, and Hector Camacho, or Hector Macho Camacho. Again, we honor and uplift our people, whether no matter what their background is, to say that we need to, as they say in my language, planta la bandera. So it's, again, remembering our figures who have led high. So with that, I want to also call out and talk about how we do our work. Adem Brija from License and Permits, we had an issue with the Cinco de Mayo Fiesta, and Alex Garcia leaned into helping us and leaned into listening to the businesses. It wasn't perfect, but they were happy to see a more bespoke approach to engagement, and they've given us some postmortem feedback. This is, again, part of the work we do is when there's an issue that arises, we lean in, we help, and make a difference. May 9th, I attended the Open Streets Business Planning. You can look into that information. We're going to be collaborating with Urban World Film Festival and the International Puerto Rican Heritage Film Festival to have 3 movie nights at the beginning of July, August, and September. Stay tuned for that information. We also thank you, Jose Altamirano and Angel Mesquin, for joining the DA's office for a more in-depth discussion about what they're experiencing and why we're seeing some of the different issues arising with crimes and quality of life, and how they're having to handle everything and the logistics they're facing. Again, Senator Claire, thank you for calling out the vigil and the funerary services. You can find the information in my report if you would like to attend either the wake, which is tomorrow, or the services on Thursday. And then again, we have on May 18th, I attended Borough Board. It was a presentation was given covering the new changes to open meetings law. And we've asked Tony Vest to come attend and give us more in-depth presentation on that. The rest of the information is for information purposes only. Please, if you can, attend the Environmental Justice Symposium this Thursday, May 25th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The link is in my report. And the Borough President's asked anyone who would like to attend and march with him for the National Puerto Rican Day Parade. It's on June 11th. And don't forget, you can come out and get some great food at the 116th Street Festival. And all of our current members, not the new members, we have our refresher course May 31st and next Wednesday. So we will see you there, 6:30 at El Museo. Any questions? Jessica Morris.
Thanks very much, Xavier, and I appreciate your efforts at being as efficient as possible in delivering all remarks, etc. I just want to inquire with regard to the Open Street planning process and how that interfaces with the Children's Aid redevelopment project, particularly as that's the building is being designed and smart opportunities for considerations with regard to how the streetscape is used at this point in the process. If it comes from the community, that's the only place it would come from. The design team, as brilliant as they may be, we're not going to think about that themselves. So I would hope that in your continued work there, you find the opportunity to speak up. And I know it's been a very open and engaging process with Children's Aid and the CAB that's ongoing with that process. But again, continue to advocate for that intersection of place-based consideration for not just the building, but beyond, because I think it's a real foothold for great programming. So
Yeah, so
in that work.
I do want to give you I can give you a quick update. There's a lot in there because we just had a meeting today.
Oh, great.
So we have the CAB. We get updates from Warren Everhart from Everhart Development. He is actually leaning in and he wants to help as much as he can do. We had a conversation. There's already activity there. He let us know over 2 weeks ago that we should start to see activity. They're taking an examination. They're securing things for the demo. We did say he did not believe at this time that it would interrupt the Open Streets programming. And he said if there was ever an issue of having to do Saturday work, he would let the community board and the CAB know as soon as possible. He's also going to the team who's managing the Open Streets program are going to reach out to him to see what additional asks and what could be procured on behalf of our efforts. When I did speak to him on the phone recently, he said that he said whatever he can do within his power, he's willing to do. And he's told his general contractors and subs to let him know if there are ever going to be any issues that arise. But at this time, they don't predict anything, and it would be very self-contained for the time being and to get us through the summer programming and into the early fall. That's the update. Okay.
That's great. Sorry, and just my clarification, less about immediate construction impacts in those spaces being adjacent, and more about a longer term planning consideration for permanent open streets activity with regard to the building being able to accommodate that type of activity beneficially.
Yeah. And the last meeting, David Giordano talked a little bit about that, with how that's going to return to as a summer open street program for their summer camps. So that will be happening. So much of this is TBD as we work with Department of Transportation, the reconstruction, rebuild, because obviously when they're having massive construction, it will affect next season. So I'm going to keep us moving along, but that's the update. David, do you want to just quickly speak on that for us?
Yeah, I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in terms of now this is just more of a regulation. When there's construction on a block, technically we're not allowed to run and operate a play street. I don't know how that conforms with open streets, but that's one of the things that we always had to ensure that was not going to go on, was construction on the block of a play street. How that fits into open streets, I'm not really sure, but that building will go down sometime late summer, probably. So I don't know how that will impact. I know Yolanda was on the meeting earlier today. I couldn't be on. But I don't know. I mean, I wanted to continue to run a play street up the hill during this whole process, but they were concerned about the conditions when the church was coming down and those as well.
Yep.
So
a lot of this is to be determined. Yeah. So
yeah, right now Children's Aid does not own the building, so it's all in, or the lot, it's all in the developer that's responsible for the property and that. But we're still involved in ensuring that things go smoothly and that the community is not as disrupted as unfortunately it may be at times.
Yeah. Thank you, David, for that clarity. I'm going to move along. Annie Hansen, your question. And welcome.
Yes. I already told you on the text that I have to leave. I'm at work, but I would like to know if you're going to talking about the subject freeze for rent stabilized apartment. I'd like to know more about that, because this involves a lot of things, including MCI, that the landlord go around. Is there anybody who could clarify that?
So we did take a position on that at our housing committee.
Yeah, I know you did. I read over here, but there is nobody who can talking about, because when I'm not sure, I almost 100% sure they're not gonna freeze rent stabilized. And also, I would like to know if we could find a way to block landlords do fake MCI to increase the rents for rent stabilized.
So I think that's a great conversation to have at our next housing committee.
Exactly,
So, but
exactly.
that is the appropriate place for that conversation. We did have a letter come across from all of our several council members, and I believe the VP calling for more public hearings for feedback, if memory serves. So, but that is where that conversation, at this time, we don't have any additional updates.
Okay, so I don't need to go to the center tomorrow because I was thinking to go tomorrow morning, talk to you about it, but since you said it's different agenda, so I don't need to go about it.
I can't confirm or say whether
Okay.
it should, but that is not something that we have on the agenda other than a letter calling for a freeze on rent stabilized. Okay.
Okay, so unfortunately I have to go. Thank you so much. I really appreciated this.
You're
I
welcome.
love it. Yeah, I love this meeting.
Look forward to working with you. Thank you, Annie.
All right, bye.
And with that, that concludes my chair's report. We're now going to go to our district manager's report. Angel Muscane.
Good evening, everyone. Also want to join in welcoming the new members. I hope you're better than the last set of new members. They stunk. I'm kidding. Especially, no, they did not stink, but Eugene certainly stunk. Anyway, so welcome.
Gonna be coming by my house.
Look forward to working with you all. My report, as usual, is brief and was shared in the meeting materials. I guess my comments are just towards the newer members, in the spirit of, helping to orient them to the work of the board, and the work of its committees and community and our positions. If I could be of any assistance, I or the staff, Marlene Pierre and Khalid Nixon, as were mentioned earlier, please feel free to reach out to the office. Our contact information is on the website. I'm not going to put it in the chat. I want to encourage you to go to the website. There's a lot of information that we curate there for your benefit and for the community's benefits. I really want to encourage you to go there. And if you want to stop by the office or call any of us with any questions at any time, please feel free. There's a lot that comes towards you as community board members, a lot of different topics, with a lot of different levels of intensity, depending on the time of year or what the topic is. And we know from your predecessors, in years past that, it can be overwhelming at first. So if we can be of any assistance, please know that we are here to help as much as we can. And that's all I have in my report. Thank you again and welcome.
Thank you, Angel. If there are any questions, please raise your hands. Okay. Thank you very much, Angel. Appreciate that. We're now going to go into officer reports, I believe. Jessica Elliott, you do not have a vice chair report this month.
I do not, Chair, but just wanted to echo welcome to the new community board members. I look forward to working with you. I also serve as the chair of Environment, Open Space and Parks. So if you're interested in that, I look forward to seeing you at our committee meetings. And as Angel said, we're all available to help. It is a lot joining the community board. And we look forward to meeting you at the refresher event that Xavier mentioned on the 31st. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Jessica. And I believe, Michelle, we do not have a secretary's report this month, correct?
There is no secretary's report. However, I just want to ask if anyone of the new people has a specific way of pronouncing their name. I would appreciate it. I don't want to mispronounce people's names, as well as if you can, in advance, if you are not going to be present, to please say that or relay that so that I can exclude your name and just have you as excuse, and I would not repeat it, to be respectful of people's time. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. And Jason Villanueva, I believe, if memory serves, we're going to have a final report next month. Is that correct?
That's correct, Chair. Thank you. Same sentiments echo to all the new members and reinforced to our old members.
Okay, wonderful. We are now at the point of the meeting where we've arrived at our committee reports and resolutions. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. 1, no one may speak until granted the floor. 2, board members, if you have a question or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. 3, the chat function should not be used for board business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you are having or to state in writing information that has already been registered. 4, when a board member is given the floor to speak, I will identify you. 5, votes will be conducted by roll call. 6, please keep your questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion. If required, the chair will remind you to conclude the remarks and/or question. And 8, a final bit during executive committee, we decided to return to our more efficient business style approach, which we were doing very successfully last year, where we're keeping the chair reports to 3 minutes, excluding action items. So at the 3-minute mark, I will remind you, you will have the timer there. And so that the new members understand, our per open meetings law, our minutes are the surviving legal document. The recording is of benefit if you want to go through and hear intonation, but it's actually the summary of the minutes that are what inform us of our position. So that way we can digest the information very quickly in a distilled format. So that's why, again, our remarks when it comes to the committee chair reports will be kept to 3, excluding the action items. And with that, we will go on to John Green of the Housing Committee. John, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Xavier. Good evening, this is John, Chair of the Housing Committee. First, I want to welcome the new board members. Welcome aboard. And I would like to thank 2 members of the board who are on the Housing Committee. That's Alonzo Johnson and Diane Cotton. I thank them for their time and their attention, and I wish them well. Excuse me, the informational purposes only. At the meeting, we basically had an update on a building that's going to be for formerly homeless individuals on 106th Street. They were giving us an update on the progress of the building, and also the actual first action item was discussed. Also, a motion was made by Jason Wu to have Community Board 11 write a letter to the New York City Rent Guidance Board demanding a rent freeze for rent stabilized apartments in New York City, and also call upon our elected officials to join us in demanding a rent freeze. The motion was seconded by Candy Vasquez and passed unanimously. And that's basically that was the meeting, and that's it. Whenever we decided to vote on the action item, that's basically it for the housing meeting.
Okay. Thank you, John. Very much appreciate that. So again, to echo, there are no questions. The action item on the floor is a motion by Jason Wu to write a letter to the NYC Rent Guidelines Board demanding a rent freeze for rent stabilized houses in NYC, and to also call upon our elected officials to join us in demanding a rent freeze. Motion was seconded by Candy Vasquez and passed unanimously. Is there a motion to approve? Jessica Elliott?
Motion to support the committee's recommendations.
Okay, Eugene Rodriguez, you had your hand raised. Do you wish to second? You're muted, sir.
Yes, I wish to second the motion.
Okay. And please call the roll, Michelle.
Altamirano,
Yes.
Arroyo,
Yes.
Autry,
Yes.
Bergodsky,
Yes.
Briha,
Yes.
Chaudhry, Corsair, Crouch,
Yes.
Diaz C, Diaz R,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Febrero,
Yes.
Febraro,
Yes.
Gillespie, Gillespie, Giordano,
Yes.
Green,
Absolutely.
Hanson, Hopkins,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Lynch, McFarland,
Yes.
Malave, Mason,
Yes.
McCullough,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Orama,
Yes.
Pabon,
Yes.
Perez, A. Perez,
Yes.
C. Perez,
Tessa was saying she was having trouble too, so it may be something with ADP.
I'll go back. A. Rodriguez,
Okay. Okay, so you need to go. All right, that's fine. I'll let them-
okay.
Unless you are voting, please mute yourself.
E. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Well, we'll
Sanders,
Yes.
Santiago,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Schuler,
Yes.
Sao, or so, Loretta So, Torres, Vasquez,
You mean Vasquez?
Vasquez,
Yes.
Villanueva,
Yes.
Viva Vasquez,
Yes.
Wilshire Clement, myself, yes. Wright, Wu, and Malave, I saw your thing in the chat that you had said yes.
You may
And
unmute
that's-
yourself, Giselle.
Yes. Do you hear me, Michelle? My vote is
Yes, I
yes.
do,
Thank you.
and I saw it in the chat as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
That is complete.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much, John. Moving the agenda along. Okay, Adem, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Can we go to the next slide, please? All right, so liquor licenses first. Number 2 on tonight's agenda, it was to deny the application of Mays Restaurant Corp. for a new application for a full liquor license for a restaurant at 2247 First Avenue. We denied this application because they did not come to the meeting, the applicant, and they provided none of the required documents. Number 3 was actually conditional approval, but I believe the conditions were met for the application of Reyes Bar Inc. to renew a full liquor license for restaurant at 109 East 116th Street on the second floor in Park Avenue. Just quickly on this one, there were a lot of 311 calls about this location. So our approval, we also put them on a 3-month probationary period due to those 311 calls. So they will be coming back in 3 months, and we'll take a look at how the 311 calls, whether they declined or not, and we'll go from there. Our hopes are they will, because one of the things that they agreed to do was to lower their music earlier. I believe it was like 4 a.m., 7 days a week. So we negotiated that down because it seemed like a lot of the 311 calls were coming later in the night. So hopefully that remedy helps that. So we will stay on top of that one. Number 4 was to deny the application of Dos Amigos Restaurant Group LLC doing business as La Chula to renew a full liquor license for a restaurant at 137 East 116th Street. on Lexington Avenue. They were denied because they didn't submit any documents. Number 5 was to approve the application of Perch Bar LLC doing business as Perch Bar to renew a full liquor license for a restaurant located at 1693 Lexington Avenue on 106th Street. Next slide. Okay, so now for the license, for the street activity permits. Number 6, Washington House's annual Juneteenth Father's Day celebration block party. I won't go through all the details. It's on the screen. We denied this, but I believe they now have the documents. They were all submitted. So I think this one's going to be separated and we might have to take a vote on this motion. But the reason they were denied was they didn't have their documents. I believe they now have submitted them all to the board. Number 7 was the Juneteenth block party. It's on June 17th. Again, I'm not going to go through all the information because it's here. So the committee recommended that application be approved. Next slide, please. Number 8 was the community block party summer kickoff. The committee recommended that application be approved. Number 9 was the James Weldon Johnson Houses Love and Unity Day. It's a block party. The committee recommended that application be approved. Next slide, please. Number 10 and number 11 were both Jungle Gym street events. I believe one is on number 10 was on July 28th and number 11 is going to be on August 18th. And the committee recommended that both number 10 and 11 be approved. Next slide, please. Number 12 was a great day in Harlem's Harlem Kids Party, block party. The committee recommended that application be approved. Number 13, Family Day block party. The committee recommended that application be approved. I don't think I can, all right, last is 14-129 Block Association block party. The committee recommended that application be approved.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate that. And we will be carving out action item number 6 because all of the documents were received and that will be a separate vote. We are going to bundle this committee's action items. Number 2 is a denial. Number 3 is an approval. Number 4 is a denial. Number 5 is an approval. Number 7 is an approval. Next slide. 8 and 9 are both approvals. 10 and 11, both approvals. And 12, 13, and 14 are both approvals, or all 3 of them. So I will entertain a motion to support the committee's recommendations. Judith Fabrera, you're recognized.
Yes, I approve the committee's recommendations.
Judith Fabrera moves to approve the committee's recommendations. Michelle Butcher-Clement, your hand is raised.
I second the committee's recommendations.
Please, Nilsa, were you going to second, I presume?
Yeah.
You have a question?
No, I was going to second.
Okay, thank you. All right, since we have the second already, please call the roll.
Altamirano?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Don't you want to have an exclusion for the one that we're going to review?
I just did at the beginning of it. I said no, I called out the ones we were going to make a motion to bundle.
Okay.
So 6 will be separated from that. Sage, you had a question because we're in the.
Yes, I was wondering, in our capacity as an advisory body, it's my understanding that if we deny a liquor license, for example, they will still apply to the liquor authority. My question is, to what extent in the past has the liquor authority followed the recommendation of the community board?
That is a very in-depth question, and I welcome you to come to licenses and permits to have that conversation. More than pleased to get into the weeds on that one.
Okay.
So yeah.
Good
so
answer.
We will break that down. You can call me anytime. So, but we'll carry on with the roll call. Thank you, Sage. I appreciate it. That's a great question.
Arroyo? I'm sorry, could you please repeat your answer?
Yes.
Thank you. Autry?
Yes.
Bogartsky?
Yes.
Briha?
Yes.
Chaudhry, Koser, Karim Koser, Crouch,
Yes.
C. Diaz, C. Diaz, R. Diaz,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Febrero,
Yes.
Gillespie, Giordano,
Yes.
Green,
I on all except number 13. I'm present, not voting. I'm a resident of Lexington Houses.
thank you. Hanson,
I'm also a resident of Lexington Houses, but I agree with everything else.
so present not voting for,
13, I think it is. I'm the president of Lexington Houses. And so
okay,
that's,
thank you. I didn't want to put words in your mouth.
yes, sorry. Yes, thank you.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Johnson, Johnson,
That was me 2 minutes ago. I answered.
oh, okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Jones,
I am a no to number 3, yes to everything else.
no to number 3, and yes to all else. Lynch, McFarland,
Yes.
Malavey,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
McCullough,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes, I support the committee's recommendations.
thank you. Orama,
Yes to all.
Orama,
Yes.
oh, yes, okay, thank you. Pabon,
Yes to all.
thank you. Perez,
Yes.
C. Perez,
Yes.
A. Rodriguez,
Yes.
E. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Santiago,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Schuler,
Yes.
So, Loretta So, Torres, Vasquez, Vasquez, Villanueva,
Yes.
Viva Vasquez,
Yes.
Wilshire Clement, yes. Wright, and then Wu. Complete.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. And we'll go back to action item number 6, please. So this is the Washington Houses Annual Juneteenth Father's Day Celebration number 705567 Block Party, June 18th, 2023, set up 9 a.m., breakdown 6 p.m. It will be at East 99th Street between 3rd and 2nd Avenue. It's a full street closure. The applicant is Claudia Perez from Washington Houses Resident Council. The Angel and Marlene, all the items were submitted successfully and are complete, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Claudia is here if there are any questions. Otherwise, Jewel, you're recognized.
Motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second? Isaac Scott,
Yes, I second.
okay. Please call the roll, Michelle.
Okay. Altamirano,
Yes.
Arroyo,
Yes.
Autry,
Yes.
Bogursky,
Yes.
Briha,
Yes.
Chaudhry, Koser, Crouch,
Yes.
C. Diaz, R. Diaz,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Fabrero,
Yes.
Gillespie, Giordano,
Yes, yes.
Green,
I,
Hanson,
Alert from low battery.
Hanson.
Mm.
I'll
I'm
come
sorry,
back.
are you saying Johnson?
I'm saying Hanson, Hanson, Annie Hanson.
She left the meeting.
Okay. Hopkins,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Lynch, McFarland,
Yes.
Malave,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
McCullough,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Orama,
Yes.
Pabon, Pabon,
Pabon,
could you please repeat your vote?
Pabon, yes.
Thank you. C. Perez,
Present, not voting.
A. Perez,
Yes.
A. Rodriguez,
Yes.
E. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Santiago,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Schuler,
Yes.
So, Torres, Vasquez, Villanueva,
Yes.
Wilshire Clement, myself, yes. Wright,
You forgot me, Candy says yes.
Candy as in Viva Vasquez. Okay.
Yes.
And then Wu. The roll call is complete.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. And with that, I'll move the agenda along to our next committee, Environment, Open Space and Parks. You have your 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, everyone, again. Our meeting minutes are for informational purposes only. We had our regular partners from Departments of Parks and Recreation, Randall's Island Park Alliance, there to give some updates about events and things happening in the neighborhood. We also had a presentation from the New York City Council Deputy Speaker Diana Ayala's office for the co-naming of Thomas Jefferson Park basketball courts for Willie King Kelly. So she gave, Elsie was there, she gave some background and is going to bring to our next meeting the documents required by the community board for co-naming processes. So we look forward to voting upon that on our next meeting. We also had an Earth Day conference recap. Just following up after that event. And then we also had in old business, our parks tour discussion and logistics planning. So our Vice Chair Malik McCullough has put together a great schedule. I believe it was 2 years ago, we held our first parks tours. We did a lot of parks in 2 single days, which was pretty you know, it was a lot to ask of everyone. So we've taken the strategy this year to visit a number of parks over the course of many weekends. So we look forward to sharing that schedule with you all. We are working with Civitas to get a jazz band for our tour visit to the Esplanade. So that'll be really fun. And if you have any questions or would like to help out with any of these things, please join our committee meetings and reach out to myself or Malik. Any questions?
Yes, we have one question. Eugene Rodriguez, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Chairman Santiago. I hate to be a pain, but there are 30 trees on my block. Some of them are older than 60 years because they were here when I got here. And they have a lot of dead branches on them, which look like they're about to fall. What is the procedure to get the Parks Department coming and cut those or trim those trees so that we don't have any dead man branches?
Yeah, that's a great question, Eugene. I'm not sure of the exact process, but we do have representatives from parks attend our meetings every month, and our next meeting is this next week. So we will be sure to pass that information along to them, and I will get back to you about what we can do as a community board to follow up on issues like this.
Thank you. I'll try to make the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great question, Eugene. And then with this, that concludes Environment, Open Space, and Parks. Thank you very much, Jessica. And next we have Human Services. Isaac Scott, you got your 3 minutes.
Okay, peace and blessings, everybody. Good evening. So we had our informational updates. We also had an informational presentation from Share NYC. They've been making their rounds around the whole committee. Unfortunately, they didn't come with the partner organization for the project. So we did ask them to come back with the partner organization so that we could actually learn more about the supportive services that residents would receive. So stand by on that. We also had a presentation from the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center regarding immigration, health, and cancer disparity services. Definitely encourage you to go back and watch the meeting for that, or read the minutes as soon as they're available for it. But lastly, we continued our discussion regarding updates and edits to the existing resolution calling for a moratorium. I just want to say that we've made a lot of progress. I'm very proud of my committee. It is like pulling teeth getting this thing done, but it's all for the better. And this document is shaping out wonderfully, and I'm going to invite every board member to join us at our next Human Services Committee, because that is where we will have the last conversation on it before we take a vote on it to bring it before the full board. So if you want to be a part of that, that nitty gritty sort of that the last few conversations we'll be having around these issues, better getting an understanding of, you know, what updates we made, please join us. But I can tell you that some of the updates really quick involve like better articulating our understanding of the links between substance abuse, mental health, and crime in our community. The document now better advocates for a fair share of community resources with respect to the unfair burden that East Harlem has to bear. It also advocates for additional mental health and other services for already existing programs. So we say a lot, there's an oversaturation of programs in East Harlem. So in essence, what we're saying is there's a lot of programs, we have too much. And if we still see the need, then that means those programs are not doing enough, or they're not filling the need the way they should. So part of this document is asking for Oasis to, you know, call on these organizations, these programs to enhance services so that, you know, they can actually meet the need. And if we have so many programs, we can actually be able to solve some of the problems. It just doesn't make sense that we still have a huge need and an oversaturation of programs. So this better advocates with respects to resources for that and an enhancement of program services, but also expresses, this is most importantly, and I'll shut up after this, but this document now, and this is something everyone has talked about, but you know, has reluctantly tried to include in this document, but it expresses the urgency for collaboration and community engagement when considering setting new programs. So we've said it, but haven't really articulated what we want from them. So this document is a lot more thorough, a lot more comprehensive. So with that, again, please join us at the next Human Services Committee. Don't wait until the next board meeting to ask a bunch of questions you could have asked at the committee meeting with us. So
Thank you. Thank you, Isaac.
Thank you.
I appreciate that brevity, and I do implore you to send any questions you may have in advance to the entire committee. If you cannot make it, so they can address. Thank you, Isaac, for your report. And we'll look forward to that next meeting. Appreciate you. Okay, moving. Yes, Beverly, you have a quick question.
Yes, thank you, Isaac, for the presentation. My question is, with you speaking about the oversaturation that's in our community, in your document, would you be addressing the fact that a large percentage of the people that's using the services in our community is not from this community?
Yeah, that's actually the grounds for that clause. Yes, that's actually the grounds for that clause, and that because there's such a since the numbers are so high for people coming in, that there needs to be additional resources since we're carrying a heavier burden.
Right. Right. Thank you.
For that question, Bev. Thank you for the response, Isaac. Okay, moving on.
David's the one doing, yeah, David's the one doing the update. Me. David, are you there? All right, if David isn't here, I'll do it. My connection might go in and out, but.
I'm here, but I'm having.
Okay.
But go ahead, Ash.
David, go, because I'm about to lose connection, so.
David?
Oh, I thought Ash was gonna go.
She said she's having connection difficulties. You go
Yeah,
ahead.
I am as well. I'm here on one computer with sound and the phone with the actual anyway, picture. But anyway, we had an interesting meeting. We had a presentation as coming to all the committees on the housing development of the Ali Forney project that's going up, and they've come to us twice now for the presentations, 2 years ago as well. And we really look forward to supporting this project and helping them settle into the community. We also had another presentation on the transfer of 2 schools, one from the west side and one to the east side, as we swap between Twills and West Side High. That's been a school for 40 years. Polaris gave a very in-depth presentation, and we have such mixed feelings about this. One, first, in all fairness, we want to support the new school that's coming in to our community. It is a transitional school for high school. It's had a lot of services in its 50 years, but 40 years over at Westside High. I actually saw it constructed and worked with many kids that went to that school, and it's become a real fixture on the west side. And it's interesting because are we going to call it East Side High now as it comes to the east side? But that transition is coming through. And at first, I personally had some concerns about losing young women's leadership. That's also been a very staple in our community and has really done wonderful with many of our kids. But in short, I spoke to some of the kids from Twills, and they're looking forward going to a new space and really, having a lot more room to grow, to do other things in their school. So we want to actually support Westside High coming to the east side. We're working with the DOE and District 4 leadership and the superintendent, and we'll set up a meeting to also help them integrate and welcome them into our committee. Very quickly, we also, again, like Jessica, we had the informational updates. However, we also spent a fair amount of time going back, as it was brought up to send back to committee, about possibly supporting graphics. And we are going to meet again next month, take a vote, and then we'll present that to the board at that time. Pretty much that's it, Xavier.
Thank you very much. David, any questions? Jessica Morris, your question?
I'm having a real problem.
Thank you, Xavier. David, my question is a general one, and it's with regard to the concession that this community board gave with discretionary land use action to allow Marymount to build at a higher density on 97th Street. and that building is coming to fruition. And I want to go back and revisit. I don't believe there were any concessions with regard to seats for East Harlem residents as part of that, if that can be a thing. I don't think it is, but I wanted to lob into the Court of Youth and Education and perhaps have a conversation with you or others from the committee who may have interest about seeing if Marymount would consider some opportunity for exchange where that building and facility is likely to open in the fall. And if there are extracurriculars or opportunities for a type of exchange that could benefit youth from our neighborhood community through some program.
Jessica, I would just say, I too would have to review some of the stuff on that. I don't think the committee actually took a position to support it at the time. But there weren't too many concessions made. We weren't, again, I don't want to speak for the full board at that time, but I remember them coming and presenting. And I don't necessarily think we supported it as a committee. It's again, one of those things that they do come and present, but it didn't necessarily was a win-win for us. It's a private school and there really weren't no concessions made.
So I think it would be great to have this.
Correctly.
Thank you, David. I think it'd be great to have
But
this.
it is something we can go back and look at. There's also another archival thing I need to look up in the board and was going to reach out to him.
Yeah. So David, I think this is David.
And
I
then,
think this is
hopefully
great.
by next month at the committee meeting, we'll be able to present something or look back.
Okay.
But you're right, the building is almost coming done.
David,
They got a lot and we did not get.
David, thank you. I think this is a great conversation to have at Youth and Education. So please carry that on. I'm going to go to Mark Bogarski,
Anything
one
else?
of our new members.
Mark, you have a question as well? I'm sorry.
Mark?
It's not just much a question, it's just a comment, given what Jessica said.
I can't
If Marymount used public money, if they used funding through Build NYC, they're actually required to actually provide community access to their facility throughout the year. So that's something that's worth exploring. That has nothing to do with the approval process. That is just part of the rules of actually being able to use the public entity to get to get basically built funding through bonds.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think, like, again, we gave up anything. They were looking for a variances to build higher, I believe.
This is independent of the community board. This is something else with Build NYC. It's a totally different structure.
Okay, thank you, Mark. That's a great recommendation. We'll look forward to that carried conversation on at Youth and Education. Thank you, David, for your report. Moving us to the next committee, Land Use, Landmarks, and Planning. Jason Villanueva.
Good evening, family. Jason Villanueva, Land Use Chair. We had a real packed agenda. Was able to get through 2 action items. I'll give a brief summary on the action items. One of the action items was on the land use application C230286 PPM and C230285 PQM 244 East 106th Street Share NYC Project. NYC Department of Housing Preservation and Development proposed the following actions to facilitate the construction of a new 10-story building containing a total of approximately 32 rooming units, plus 1 unit for a superintendent and a ground floor community facility space. The acquisition of the development site by the city and the disposition of the development site. The proposed development will be located on the vacant portion of the site located at 242-244 East 106th Street. The applicant was the New York City Department of Housing Preservation and Development, along with the developer, which was Ascendant Neighborhood Development and the Alley Fortney Center. The community board 60-day review period had already began on April 5th, 2023. They presented at full board and it is intended to be completed by June 5th. So our committee took action on this item, which I will discuss at the end when we're open for motions. The second presentation was regarding land use application N230113 ZRY, which is the City of Yes Carbon Neutrality Citywide Text Amendment. The New York City Department of City Planning, in consultation with the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice, is proposing the citywide zoning text amendment to implement changes to the city's zoning resolution to remove impediments to and expand opportunities for decarbonization projects with all zoning districts and across all 59 of the city communities districts. The community board 60-day review period began on May 2nd, 2023, and it must be completed by July 3rd, 2023. So the intentions moving forward with this action is we're under review as it stands. I really echo and hope that everyone, the chairs and community board members have the opportunity to look and to review the zoning text amendment. There's a lot of concerns, and just that was emphasized previously, we welcome that you bring those concerns to the table at our land use committee meeting next month.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sorry, one more. Yeah,
Mhm,
one
go
more.
for
Well,
it.
you know what? You're carrying this one, I believe, in executive now. So we'll just focus on the first action item, and then the second action item that was ratified at executive can be reviewed under executive.
No, it is under land use, landmarks and planning. It will be under.
Okie dokie. So this is was a BSA application on old business from Mount Sinai Kleinstein's Clinical Center, which was a old business item. It was reviewed over the last 60 days. We typically give 2 months to review these applications, and the committee reviewed it, and we were able to come to an action. So I'll do the first one if you're okay with that, Chair.
I'm going to bundle both 15 and 16 to keep the meeting efficient.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
So we have number 15 is a motion to recommend approval of land use application C230286 PPM and C230285 PQM 244 East 106th Street, Sharon YC project, moved by Jessica Morris, seconded by Candy Vasquez, and approved unanimously. And I'm presuming Isaac hold on a second. 16 is a motion to recommend approval of BSA application Cal 897-85-BZ Mount Sinai Clinical Center with the condition that Mount Sinai continue its good faith effort to be a committed neighbor to help-based advocacy in East Harlem by way of ongoing engagement and activation through its community advisory board and other points of regular community outreach, et cetera, in support of improved health, wellness, economic vitality for those served in service and in proximity to their facilities. Moved by Jessica Moore, seconded by Jessica Elliott, and approved with 2 present not voting, Torres and Villanueva. I presume, Isaac, that was hand to support the committee's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, motion to support the committee's recommendations.
Okay, Nilsa.
It was a second.
All right, please.
I'm sorry, I had my hand up. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Joel, it blended into the background.
Yeah.
So
I have
you a question?
Point of clarification regarding number 16. We're talking about Mount Sinai. Is there an existing community advisory board at Mount Sinai?
Angel.
Yes.
Yes.
And are there community board members serving on that community advisory board?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. A point of clarification. And we have a first by Isaac Scott, second by Neil Sarama of these 15 and 16. Please call the roll.
Altamirano,
Yes.
Arroyo,
Yes.
Autry,
Yes.
Bogursky,
Yes.
Briha,
Yes.
Chaudhry, Koser, Crouch,
Yes.
C. Diaz, R. Diaz,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Febraro,
Yes.
Gillespie, Giordano,
Yes.
Green, Hanson, Hopkins,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
C. Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Lynch, McFarland,
Yes.
Malave,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
McCullough,
Yes.
thank you, Mayor,
Yes, for all except 16. I'm present, not voting.
present not voting for 16.
Correct.
Miranda, yes, Miranda,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Orama,
Yes to both.
okay, Pabon,
Yes to both.
A. Perez,
Yes.
C. Perez,
Yes.
A. Rodriguez, Asher, come back, E. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Santiago,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Schuler,
Yes.
So, Torres, Vasquez,
Yes.
Villanueva,
15 yes, 60 present not voting.
thank you. Viva Vasquez,
15 yes, 16 present not voting.
okay. Wiltshire Clement, yes on both. Wright and Wu. And I see that Asher is having connectivity problem,
That is correct.
and his vote was yes.
Right. Okay.
Thank you,
Motion
Asher.
carries.
All right, the
Welcome.
motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank you,
Jason.
Chair. Thank you, Board.
Next committee we have is Public Safety and Transportation. Jose Altamirano, you have your three.
Good evening, everyone. Most of what we have is informational updates. We did have an interesting presentation from DOT, our committee partner in the city. There is a future change on 128th Street off of the 3rd Avenue ramp. We are trying to figure out the best thing to do. They showed us a present design. They are still in the design for the design part of the program for another year and a half, almost 2 years before this has taken place. So we appreciate them coming to us early so that we can give them input. We will be asking them to have a walkthrough so that we can see what we can get accomplished. Other than that, the rest is informational updates. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Jose? Seeing that, yes, Jessica Morris, your question?
Yeah, just a request to make sure that the continued discussion about that off-ramp and change is something that gets added to the agenda and circulates as soon as possible when that information is available. I know sometimes they don't come every month because there may not be updates, but I think it is really valuable that we're being engaged early. And I know there's it's a sticky place that has had some points of input in the past as being problematic. So it's great to hear that that's happening, but please I guess it's board's due diligence to check in with the agenda and make sure that if it's up, we show up, and if not, we continue to ask about it, but expecting that it would show up as an agenda item if there's going to be a discussion, correct?
that is, if it's going to be on agenda.
That's why we're discussing it now. I'm confused. It was an agenda item.
Yeah. Thank you.
Future, should it come up again?
It
Thank you.
will. Thank you. All right. Moving along. I don't see any other hands raised. Thank you very much for the question. Thank you for, Michelle, you have a question.
It's not a question, it's just a comment to say that we are going to be having a conference, which was discussed, and we want to just get enthusiasm up and running early on. It would be a safety awareness East Harlem first annual public safety and transportation conference, which is a very long name. So in other words, we don't have a name for it yet. It's in process. We just want to be able to get enthusiasm together and to partner with some other committees on this project. And it would be in October, in the early to mid-October. So please keep this in mind and ideas, and we look forward to anyone who wishes to involve themselves with the activity and being present.
Thank you, Michelle, for reminding me. Appreciate it. Yep, as you heard, this is something that we've been wanting to do for a long time, and Michelle, my vice chair, is helping me tremendously to get this done. We're going to be working on this month to month, and October is our goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Michelle. That sounds like a call for volunteers. So some of our new members, if you're hungry or want to get involved. So thank you very much. We're going to move along to economic development and culture. Giselle Malave, as Marissa Mack is not here.
Okay, thank you, Chair Xavier. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the new members of CB11. Angel, to start, Angel made an announcement to just remind us that the community event notifications is on the website. So please check it out and keep ourselves informed during the summer. We had our usual presentations come. Uptown Grand Central gave us an update on the downtown revitalization initiative. They have a June kickoff scheduled. They have selected the committee members. There is a training coming up next, and then they will allow, I would say better said, accept suggestions from the community. She gave us an update on the business improvement district. They have come out of the steering phase and they've identified their vision, and they'll be entering the outreach phase during the summertime, where they'll be coming out to the community to get feedback and give people information. They're continuing their street cleaning, planting flowers with Harlem Children Day. They attended Councilmember Richardson Jordan's Malcolm X celebration at 125th Plaza. They have an initiative at Marcus Garvey Park cleanup with Harlem Yoga Studio. You get a free yoga class if you choose to volunteer. They're continuing their mocktail rides with El Barrio Bike, where again, you visit small businesses and get to sample drinks. They, again, have opened up the open streets on 115th and 101st Street. They'll have a lot of exciting new things for June, like a Pride event. Bar Goyana will have a really big Brazilian event in June. She'll follow up with more information as we get closer to that date. She informed us that Make Music New York is coming on June 21st. We'll have a jazz mobile concert, pretty much where like jazz artists come and perform. Please come out and support. And then also she spoke a little bit about the Classical Harlem Theater of Harlem event in July. Union Settlement, Benny Calderon, he presented and he informed us that of the cash mob that took place at Zapoara on April 30th, the James Walks, which explore the salsa heritage of East Harlem. They kicked off their La Villa meeting. They're working with East Action to fix our tree pits. They're giving pebbles and cleanups, sanitation services. They are offering as well along the corridors in collaboration with Positive Workforce. They're starting their trolley tours on April 24th. They started their trolley tours on April 24th, and they're going to be making multiple stops in East Harlem, just highlighting like comedy clubs that we have on 117th Street, restaurants, and other exciting places.
Wonderful.
They're also co-sponsoring with Start Small, Think Big. That has to do with FDNY regulations. East Harlem Nights is coming in June, the 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30th. There'll be vendors, artists, live music. Please come out and support.
Thank you.
And then that's it. Time's up.
3 minutes. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
but you have an action item, don't you?
Yes, I do. So Carrie King from Uptown Grand Central came, and she is requesting funding for her open streets events. We were made aware by Jason Villanueva that each committee has $500 to spend throughout the year, and it's kind of like a use it or lose it. We, just to give you guys brief information, not too much, but it's the 4th year of open streets. They have a lot of, new initiatives coming this year. They want to make it more small business promotion geared, and DOT has cut their funding. So we would like to make a motion to approve a funding request in the amount of $500 on behalf of the Economic Development and Culture Committee to support open streets programming at 101st Street and 115th Street, which was moved by Stephanie Arroyo, seconded by Eugene Rodriguez, and passed unanimously.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And I appreciate that. Before we do that, we had a conversation in executive. Unfortunately, Marissa couldn't make it and you didn't know, so I know you would have shown up if you'd been informed. But what we decided to do, because licenses and permits and statement district needs and budget they're not conducting a community-led event this fiscal year. And again, it resets on July 1. So the use it or lose it. We will entertain a motion through unanimous consent because license and permits would like to donate their $500 towards this effort, and then so would statement of district needs and budget. And I will recognize Dem Briha to make that friendly amendment, and we will adopt through unanimous consent. And I'll explain to the new board members what that means. So, Adem?
Yep, I'll make the friendly amendment to also contribute the license and permits committee's $500 towards this open street event.
Okay. And so this is so we're going to amend to add the additional $500 through unanimous consent. Now, what that means is that I will look for hands, and that's to object, not to approve. Unanimous consents mean we as a body approve this. Is there any objection? Just like when we adopt our minutes or the agenda, if there are any objections. I had Isaac Scott. Do you object to this? Or
no, I don't object to this, but I didn't know we had $500, use it or lose it. And with respects to that, can we put our $500 as well to it? Just knowing that come the next, I guess, fiscal year, whatever, how they do it, we'll have $500. But so we don't lose it, can we put it towards this effort as well?
Give me just a moment. Angel, could you confirm that the coffers have the allocation? Yes. Okay. Yep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it one at a time just to keep things very clean for the record. Isaac, so I will come to you first. I just want to get through these raised hands of questions, and then we'll do 1, 2, 3. And then we'll come back to you, and then we'll go to Stephanie Arroyo for statement of district needs and budget. So things aren't confused on the record. Thank you very much. Julie, you had a question regarding this.
Actually, it's more so a point of clarification in terms of a budgetary item, since, I'm not sure when the last time we heard from our treasurer. Is this some part of information that we should be provided from the treasurer in terms of monies that are available? I mean, we're talking about lose it or use it. So I'm not really comfortable, talking about or approving or not approving when I don't have a good sense as to the board's budget in the first place. So
okay, so this process started with I believe Nelson Rama's predecessor, where every committee was allocated $500 that they could use toward community engagement or community events, whether that was Earth Day, for example, for environment, open space, and parks. We've had other events in the past that have been allocated, and we've carried on that tradition. This was an event to support the Open Streets program, which was spearheaded in conjunction with multiple partners, including the community board, and DOT had cut a lot of funds, and because we were not having any community events, this was the request that came in because we're really just trying to fill the gaps. And this is something that's provided a lot of benefit, because 101 between Park and Lex was the very first open street in Uptown Manhattan. And I can tell you myself, Carrie King, Jessica Morris, Jessica Elliott, and a bunch of others would go out dragging trees, setting up the street. So again, that's just a little background information as to, we will have a full debrief. I believe the last one we had was a little earlier this year to the report, but Angel has confirmed that that we do have the funds available to clarify that question. Nilsa Ram.
Can I just, so I'm not questioning or, I'm not, the concern is not the actual event itself. It's just the fact that I'm not informed, or we should be better informed in terms of monies that are within the board's discretion in terms of whether it's a $500 for each committee or whatever it may be. But I just like to be better informed as to all types of monies that are part of the board and that are available for whatever reason. So, thank you.
I appreciate the comment. We definitely will take that. And that you will have many of your answers in June, and we will make sure going forward that it's a regular recurring. Thank you. Nilsa, your question.
Not a question. I wanted to also do a friendly amendment to add to this motion $500 from the Office Oversight Committee.
Okay. All right. So let me get through license and permits, and I will come back because those are two additional committees. I appreciate it. Anne Marie Vasquez, your question.
Yeah, two things. First, I don't know about this as well, the 500 for each committee that can provide for events in the community. Because two things, Borinquen has a fair that we do annually. I would apply 1 and 2. We apply for open streets as well. So that would have been nice to know. I would apply for it.
Okay, thank you. We will see how next fiscal year things are. Appreciate that commentary. Okay, so I'm going to circle back, and if you could lower your hand, is there through unanimous consent, because I'm going to go through these one at a time. Otherwise, we will have to go through a roll call vote for each additional committee. I'm just reminding the board of the time. It's 8:55 p.m. So licenses and permits wanted to contribute their 500 for unanimous consent. If there are any objections, please raise your hand. Okay, seeing no hands, it is adopted. Now going to Stephanie Arroyo. You are recognized.
Hi, yeah, so when this came up in ECHO, in economic development, I also asked, I did not know that we as a committee have $500, so I also wanted to do that, and I was advised to fill out a form, which I received today, and I will be filling out this form and sending it out to giving it back to the community board. But district needs will also be supporting Uptown Grand Central with $250, not with the whole 500. And I also believe that there should be some clarification regarding that. Is the end of, like, what is the fiscal year for this budgetary money that the committee has? Like, when do we have to spend it?
Okay, thank you. And we will cover that in June, and it's part of the refresher course as well to bring everyone up to speed. So I just want to refresh before I read back that you'd like to allocate through unanimous consent $250 to Uptown Grand Central's request for open streets and their programming needs. So if there are any objections to that, please raise your hand through Zoom. Otherwise, it will be adopted through unanimous consent. Jewel?
Well, you said there was an objection to the unanimous consent, so I don't consent.
Okay, then I will, we will have a roll call vote.
Are you ready for the roll call then?
Yes, I'd like to accept the motion, and that was from Stephanie Arroyo. Is there a second? Please raise your hand for a second. Jessica Elliott?
Second.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Altamirano,
Yes.
Arroyo,
Yes.
Autry,
Yes.
Bogertsky,
Yes.
Briha,
Yes.
Chaudhry, Coser, Crouch,
Yes.
C. Diaz, R. Diaz,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Fibrajo,
Yes.
Gillespie, Giordano,
Yes.
Green,
Aye.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Johnson, C. Johnson.
Yes. Yes, sorry.
Thank you. Jones,
I will be abstaining.
Lynch, McFarland,
Yes.
Malavey,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
McCullough, McCullough,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Orama,
Yes.
Pabon,
Present not voting.
present not voting. A. Perez,
Yes.
C. Perez, C. Perez, A. Rodriguez,
Yes.
E. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Sanders, Santiago,
Aye.
Scott,
Yes.
Schuler,
Yes.
Before you, okay, after Schuler, this is Sanders. I couldn't unmute, and my vote is yes.
Okay, thank you. So it's not here. Vasquez,
Yes.
Villanueva,
Yes.
Vivas Vasquez, Viva
Yes.
Vasquez, Wilshire Clement, yes, me, Wright, and Wu. The roll is complete for this.
The motion carries. We had, again, we had Isaac Scott who wanted to allocate because again, the funds get returned back to the city on June 30th. He wanted to contribute his. Is that still the case?
Yes, but I want to ask a question because I do agree with with Jewel and you know, I think rather what I'm asking is there a way we can get a little bit more clarity right now about what's the process? Because being that I just knew about it, you know, I have committee members on the Human Services Committee who have events that this money could have went towards. So we don't want to lose it before June 30th. So if we could just get an understanding of the process, you know, for getting the funds, or just so we know now that it's out there, because it's a lot to wait till next month, you know, just to know a little bit.
Okay, so the way it works is that anyone who's Angel, would you like to speak on this, please? Thank you.
No, go ahead. I'm just going to scream a little bit, but you go ahead.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Supposed to present to the committees. This has been expressed, and we will address this in the refresher coming up next week from tomorrow. And we'll address the whole process if it's an outside or if they're asking for request. We have historically supported, in some cases, other events throughout the year if we have the funds available. This is, again, what, like I said, in the predecessor to NILSA, Diane Collier had done this to each committee so that they could activate and be involved in the community with outreach and events. They would have to fill out the paperwork, present to the committee would have to vote on it. In this particular instance, because Open Streets was upon us and it's something we've historically supported, as we discussed executive, these two particular committees wanted to allocate some of their funds for that. But again, people would need to present, fill out the form, and then the committee and the full board would have to vote in typical fashion on these instances. But Angel, please. Angel?
Yeah, I'm trying to compose myself. I don't know how it's possible that members of this board that have been here for more than a week can possibly say this is the first time they're hearing about this. This has been since Diane Collier's election that the committees have been supported with funds put aside in case they wanted to do community events or support community outreach. Diane Collier was 8 years ago. And it's been happening consistently ever since. Say you forgot. Don't tell me you didn't know. Okay. I wish I wouldn't have made any suggestions. So Carrie makes this one request of Echo Dev for a measly $500 when they're losing thousands of dollars in funding for this open street stuff. So I say, well, hey, this committee, that committee, would you be open to supporting this? They say yes, and now we're hearing this. You know what? Don't vote on it tonight. Do it next month. Figure it all out how you want to do it. But don't act like this is the first time anyone's ever talked about this. That's not true. And it's unfair to everybody else that's been here doing this. You know, like months ago, the treasurer of this board said, each committee has funds to support their community events, this community initiative thing. I know he did, right? I know he said it, right? But no, this is the first time I'm hearing of it. Come on. Now we're stuck in this unanimous consent vortex trying to figure out how to give, this event $250. I suggest you all do what you want. I suggest don't vote on anything. Figure it out between now and next month, and then have an honest vote as to whether you're going to, allocate funds to this or not, or if you have some other event that you want to support or do. But don't say you didn't. This is the first time you've heard of it, because that's just inaccurate.
Thank you, Angel. Nelson?
Hi, I was going to say something along the lines that Angel was saying now. My predecessor, as was mentioned, did put this in place, and I carried it forth through my 4 years, and you carrying it forth through your 2 years. And it's important that community board members realize that while they have organizations that they work for, that it is really that we must give no view of impropriety. So if there's anyone on this board who says they would be having an event and they would have apply, I would suggest that someone from your organization do the applications process and then does a presentation for consideration, as opposed to an actual board member asking for funds specifically from there, because that's how the community gets these lines muddied. I agree with Angel. I think that we're trying to, this was for $500, more additional committees jumped in, just like I just put in office oversight. But if it's going to be such a problem, these funds have to be expended by June 30th or invoiced by June 30th. So there is still some time. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. And Anne Marie Vasquez, you had a question, because I'd like to move the meeting along as it's 7 past 9. Thank you.
It's not a question. I just wanted to say, I don't think it's fair for Angel to say that we forgot. I honestly did not know, and I believe there were a few others that said they did not know. I don't believe that we all forgot. And thank you, Nilsa, for clarifying that. See, now we know. And if the treasurer didn't mention it a couple months ago, maybe I wasn't in that meeting. I don't know. But at least explain the process. Also just explain, if you're on the board, it's better for someone else to apply, which is fine. But that was kind of uncalled for.
Thank you, Anne Marie. Noted. Isaac Scott, you had a question?
No, I kind of just want to echo Anne Marie. I felt like I got scolded by Uncle Angel.
Yeah.
I agree. I have been on the board for a while, and I must have missed that one. Maybe a few times if it said a lot, but I didn't know that specifically. And then as the chair, I wasn't aware of that, but I know now. So, my apologies, Uncle Angel.
Okay, thank you, Isaac. So Jessica, you had a comment or question?
Yeah, just really quick. I don't want anyone to feel like they don't have the information that they need. I also feel in some cases that there's just so much snow on the community board that it's hard to keep up with everything. We're all human. Angel knows that. Angel is also human. And I just encourage everyone, please come to the refresher next Wednesday so that we can talk through these things together and make sure that we're all on the same page. And we also need to do our work as community board members so that the staff, can do their jobs. And I'm sure you can all understand that it's probably frustrating to deal with us sometimes. So, whatever we can do to help each other be successful and to, follow our processes in the correct way. Xavier and I and Angel and all of the staff are here to support you all. And please, we are doing good work.
Thank you, Jessica. We are accessible, all of us. If you have questions, concerns, it was mentioned as a reminder, it's okay. We're all human. The fact is that we just lean into one another and just ask questions. But we do have a motion on the table, 500 plus the 250. If Human Services, again, I'd rather get this item out. And if Human Services and Office Oversight would like to add to that pot or would like to wait till next month, then they may opt to do so. But licenses and permits has put forward, and so is statement addition needs and budget at 250. That is where we stand. Nilsa,
I will opt to leave office oversight in right now, just because I want to make sure that those funds get used. So I would like to do a friendly amendment to add the office oversight $500 towards this motion.
okay. All right, I'm noting that, and I will entertain. Otherwise, we will go through a roll call vote, which I'm pleased to do. To adopt that appropriation through unanimous consent. If you wish to object, please raise your hand. Seeing no hands, it is adopted. This will now motion to approve a funding request in the amount of 500 on behalf of the Economic Development Culture Committee to support Open Streets programming at 101st Street and 115th Street, moved by Stephanie Arroyo, seconded by Eugene Rodriguez, and passed unanimously with friendly amendments from license and permits for 500 adopted through unanimous consent with statement addition needs, 250 adopted through roll call vote, and $500 from office oversight adopted through unanimous consent. Human Services will revisit and discuss at a later date. That is the motion on the table. Is there anyone who wishes? Jessica Morris, you motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve that recommendation as stated and amended.
Thank you very much. Judith Ferrero.
I second that motion.
Thank you very much. Please call the roll.
Okay, the Altamirano,
Yes.
Arroyo,
Yes.
Autry,
Yes.
Bogursky,
Yes.
Briha,
Yes.
Chaudhry, Koser, Crouch,
Yes.
C. Diaz, R. Diaz,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Privado,
Yes.
Gillespie, Giordano,
Yes.
Green,
Aye.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Abstain.
Lynch, McFarland,
Yes.
Malave,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
McCullough,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Orama,
Yes.
Pabon,
Yes.
A. Perez,
Yes.
C. Perez, A. Rodriguez,
Yes.
E. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Santiago,
Aye.
Scott,
Yes.
Schuler,
Yes.
Vasquez,
Thing is that everybody
Yes.
to the same. They're like, oh,
Claudia Perez
Excuse me,
Villanueva,
Claudia, thank you. Carry on.
Villanueva,
Yes.
Viva Vasquez,
Yes.
Wilson Clement, yes, me, Wright, and Wu.
Okay. The motion carries. Thank you very much, everyone, for your patience with that. And for our new members, you got a little bit of a taste of Robert's Rules of Order, which helps keep things running smoothly. Eugene and I have had many lamentations about it. So we're gonna move into our executive committee report. Give me just a moment. So here and pulling it up. Too many windows. Okay, you can hit the clicker, please. Countdown. All right, so had a really good meeting. Had MTA present on Second Avenue subway presentation. You can look at the minutes for more detail there, or go, and again, it really breaks everything down. It's about the temporary easements and acquisitions of real estate. PS 96 would require a temporary easement underneath. This is so they can secure the structure, prepare to get the boring equipment in. It'll be about 60 feet for stabilization and safety. RFK Bridge approach on 124th Street and Second Avenue would require a temporary permanent easement for tunnel construction, about 50 feet below grade for ground improvement in advance of tunnel excavation. And then finally, the New York Public Library at 125th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue require temporary and permanent easement similar to item 2. Again, we had a series of questions, went back and forth, asking whether it would disturb the schools, the structures, how it would affect the library. We also dealt with some issues of local hiring. This is part of the process of getting everything running. With the Second Avenue subway, they are in a 45-day time limit. Executive committee will vote on this next month and then bring it for ratification of the board. And then MTA will go to the next stage, which is city council. We wanted to allocate a little bit more time for public input just in case. We had set a precedence previously to be able to vote on these items as we have done, but realizing some of the community feedback, we figured we'd keep it open on the table until next month. So that was the one presentation. We had 3 action items, which I will come to in just a moment, but we had a review of the draft agenda, went through our action items, including what was voted on at executive committee, had our dry run of our chair reports where we have feedback and can discuss and think tank possible cross-committee collaboration. And then finally on old business, we discussed our meeting efficiency notes document, which is what we're experiencing tonight. We're doing a fairly good job. I think it's really about being concise, delivering and focusing more on the businesses at hand. I want to thank every one of our chairs who have been obliging in this effort. Again, Angel Mescane did register one note of importance, which is your minutes need to be in on time. They need to be robust. It's a summary of what was discussed, not a full transcript. So it's really so that when our members show up to vote on an action item or to get the distillation of what the committee arrived at, whether it's a position or concern, is that they can consume it in 3 pages versus say watching a 2-hour meeting. That's just icing on the cake to have that as a reference point. And then finally, the refresher course coming up May 31st at El Museo del Barrio. We will have some food provided as well, and that'll be a roundtable refresher. So those were the items that were discussed. That brings us to our action items real quick. And I am going to bundle these. So if you can move the screen, thank you very much. We had number 18, 19, and 20. 18 was Sapporo LLC renewal application for a full liquor license, number 1295898 for a restaurant located at 2262 First Avenue, at the corner of 116th Street. Motion approved by Michelle Wiltshire Clement, seconded by Jason Villanueva, and passed unanimously. Number 19 is Mount Sinai Green Market Wednesday, number 7008623 Farmers Market. It's Wednesdays, June 14th, 2023 through November 22nd, 2023 is a setup at 6 a.m., breakdown at 6 p.m. Madison Avenue between East 98th Street and East 99th Street. That will be a sidewalk and curb lane closure. The applicant is Kathy Chambers, and sponsors Council of the Environment, Inc., doing business as Growings NYC. She also had another one, which was an action item number 20, PS 57 Farm Stand Wednesday, number 708-606 Farmers Market Wednesdays, June 21st, 2023, December 27th, 2023, set up 7 a.m., breakdown 5 p.m., East 115th Street between 3rd and Lexington Avenues. It's a sidewalk and curb lane closure. It was both items were motioned by Jessica Elliott and seconded by Jose Altamirano and passed unanimously. Are there any questions? Yes, we have. No, I'm seeing so many hands go up. Nilsa, you had a question?
No, if there are no questions, I was going to make a motion.
Okay, then Jessica Morris, Michelle, and then Candy. Jessica, do you have a question?
Just point of clarification with regard to the refresher next week. Can I ask that be circulated in writing, an invitation with date, time, and location, please, and thank you.
Thank you very much, and I will ask the staff if they could do so. Great, and if you could lower your, thank you. And Michelle, did you have a question, or were you wanting to participate in the motion before I go to
I
Candy?
wanted to participate in the motion.
All right, and Candy?
I
The same?
participate, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. So we have a motion. I'm going to bundle 18, 19, and 20. Nilsa?
I wanted to make a motion to accept the committee's recommendations as outlined.
Okay, great. Do you, Michelle, mind if I give this one to Candy? The second?
Absolutely, Candy. Have fun.
Candy?
Thank you.
All right.
Second.
Well, beautiful. Wonderful. Thank you, team. All right, please call the roll.
Altamirano.
Yes.
Arroyo.
Yes.
Autry.
Yes.
Bogursky.
Yes.
Brija.
Yes.
Chaudhry. Coser. Crouch.
Yes.
C. C. Diaz. R. Diaz.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Febrero.
Yes.
Gillespie. Giordano.
Yes.
Green.
Aye.
Hopkins.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
McFarland.
Yes.
Malavey.
Present, not voting for 18, yes for 19 and 20.
Present not voting for 18, yes for 19 and 20. Mason.
Yes.
McCullough. McCullough. Okay. Mayor.
Yes.
Miranda.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Orama.
Yes.
Pabon.
Pabon, yes.
Okay, and McCullough, was that you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you. C. Perez. Yes. A Perez,
Yes.
A Rodriguez,
Yes.
E Rodriguez,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Santiago,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Schuler,
Yes.
Torres, Vasquez,
Yes.
Villanueva,
Yes.
Viva Vasquez,
Yes.
Wilshire Clement, myself, yes. Wright, and Wu. Roll call complete.
Okay, the motion carries. That concludes the executive committee. And now we'll move the agenda along to new business. Oh, no, sorry. District needs and budget. Stephanie Arroyo. Apologies. You have your three. Stephanie?
Hey, sorry. Couldn't get off the line. So nothing really to report. We haven't had a meeting. We had a meeting. Did we have a meeting in April? I don't believe we had a meeting in April. Angel, correct me if I'm wrong. We only had a meeting back in March. We haven't had a meeting since March.
I'm sorry, Stephanie. Angel had stepped off. He might have some connectivity issues, and I am not able to confirm your meeting status at this point.
Yeah, we did not have a meeting in April. Our last meeting was in March.
Let's move forward.
Okay, thank you very much. Next slide. Okay, any new business? Eugene?
I thank you very much, Chairman Santiago. I would request the support of the community board to review the contract between the Economic Development Corporation and the Hispanic Federation, because I don't believe the Hispanic Federation has been in compliance with their contract over the last 15 years. And until that building is actually working, we're losing out on over $100,000 of local business, because it is valuable cultural tourism destination that that is not operating.
I would recommend, and I did get your email and I wanted to reach out to you after we got through full board, that Economic Development Culture sent an official invitation for them to present and explain to the community board. So that way we can get them on the record. That would be my preference.
I have no problem with that, Chairman.
Okay, I will be speaking with Marissa and Giselle, and we'll have a conversation as well, so we can see and arrange it. Thank you. Any other new business? Okay, any old business? See no hand raised. Please call the roll. Jessica, you had some old business?
Just a late hand and observation with regard to board processes and cycles. June is the last month that committees meet regularly before the summer and before we'll have to select committee preferences. So if new board members, existing board members, longstanding board members are curious about what happens at various committees, next month would be the time to show up and listen in, right? Old business, looking ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, email was sent to them inviting them to come attend, as was their welcoming email from the MVPO. So that was addressed, and I appreciate reminding them. Nelson, yes.
Just in terms of because of what Jessica just brought up, in terms of the refresher, will committee chairs be there to discuss the work of their committees so that any new members who are attending can get a sense of the work of each of the committees?
So the refresher, and just to remind everyone, although it's not going to be closed, it was predominantly for the existing members.
Okay.
But they're welcome to attend. But again, we have They go through in June, and onboarding through MVPO's office, and then the staff does an onboarding as well, so they can have a more intimate conversation. This is predominantly designed for us who are more familiar, can get into the weeds of some of the mechanics, or whether things such as the $500 committee allotment, when things come up for, when it gets returned to the city, everything's soup to nuts, Robert's Rules of Order, existing positions. That's what the refresher is for.
Okay.
Yeah. So Eugene, you had another item on old business?
Yeah, I'd just like to address the new members of the community board. Last year, in my first meeting, I asked the community board to support the designation of a cultural district for East Harlem. This year, as you can tell, the Senate has passed a bill creating cultural districts. Just want to inform you, if you keep at it, you keep being a pain on the board, things happen.
Okay, Beverly.
Yes, I just, I'm a new member and I just wanted to know what is the selection process in terms of getting on a committee that you are interested in.
Okay, so you will get, and we invite you to attend the committees you are interested in participating in this coming June. You can go to the website, you'll see the calendar, you pull down, you can register for it, and that's how you can be involved and listen and determine, is this something that piques your interest? You can look at the previous minutes, recordings if you want. During the summer, you will receive a committee selection sheet. In that committee selection sheet, you will select your top 4. The chair will then, in discussions with the district manager, and I also loop in our vice chair of the board, Jessica Elliott, will have a conversation. You may not get your top 2, you may get 1 and 3. Or 2 and 4, depending on what the needs of the committees. We try to figure out where your strengths are. So that's how the process will play out, Bev. It's a great question.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Malik.
Yes, it's kind of like new old business, but basically I encourage all the committee members to come out to when we visit the parks and come see the parks. This upcoming summer, I just want to make sure that everybody's involved and everybody understands and knows exactly what Jessica mentioned earlier, as far as us visiting these different parks, touring these parks throughout the summer, starting June, and it ends in August. It's pretty much it.
Great. Yeah, that great reminder. That would fall under announcements, but you went ahead and made it. So what I'm going to do now is move us along. Thank you, Malik. That's great. Please show up, take a walk, see our parks. We're going to go to our roll call, and then we'll get the announcements, and we'll adjourn.
Altamirano.
Good night.
Arroyo.
Here.
Audrey.
Present.
Burgowski.
Still here.
Bria.
Here.
Chaudhry. Still not here. And yeah, still not here. Crouch.
Present and good night.
Good night. C. Diaz. R. Diaz.
Here. Good night.
Good night. Elliot.
Here. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Vibrato. Vibrato.
Oh, good night.
Good night. Gillespie, not here. Giordano.
Good night. Present.
Good night, Green.
Out and good night.
Hopkins.
Present and good night.
Good night. C. Johnson.
All right. Okay. Here and good night.
Good night. Jones.
Here.
Not here. McFarland.
Here. Good night.
Good night. Malave.
Here and good night.
Good night. Mason.
Here and good night.
Good night. McCullough.
Good night.
Good night. Mayor.
Here.
Miranda.
Here and good night.
Good night. Morris.
Here.
Orama,
Here.
Pabon,
Shalom here and good night, everyone. And
Good
hello,
night.
new members.
yes, A Perez,
Present.
C Perez,
Present. Good night, everyone.
good night. A Rodriguez,
Present.
E Rodriguez,
Present and bonus noches.
Sanders,
Here and good night.
good night. Santiago,
Present.
Scott,
Present. Good night, everyone.
night. Schuler,
Present.
Vasquez,
Present.
Villanueva. Villanueva, Viva Vasquez,
Here.
Wilshire Clement, me, good night. I am present. Right. And Woo.
Thank you very much. Announcement, CB11's next full board meeting is scheduled for June actual 27th, not the 20th. That's a typo. So you'll see it on our calendar, cb11m.org /PM calendar /. With that, thank you, everyone. It is now 9:35. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. We are adjourned. Oh, Bev, did you have an
It's gonna be
announcement?
virtual the next.
I-
Yes,
we-
I just want to know if there's gonna, next month's meeting is virtual, that they have a, what the mayor does.
The
Did they
emergency
extend
order, we
Yes.
not have, I think it's through June 20th for right now, so we do not know. So,
Okay,
but yeah, we hope to
all
find out.
right.
Thank you. All right.
All right, thank you, guys. Good night.